love who I am. I'm loving me. Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.
Welcome to Alchemize the Energy. I am your host, DJ Genesis. Today we have a special guest. He is the owner of the Hebrew Chronicles, and he also is a well-known author and writer. I want to also introduce the mighty Hebrew, who's going to be interviewing our guest, Jehoshaphat Israel.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. First and foremost, we giving all praise and honor to Yahuwah, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, those striving for righteous sake. I say unto the family, Shalom Aleichem. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to be here today, Yisrael. Without further ado, we have the founder of the international newspaper, the Jerusalem Chronicle Newspaper, and author of the new book, The Revelations of Daniel. The Revelations of Daniel, Yah's prophetic utterances to Black America and all mankind. Without further ado, we have Zaquin Adon Jehoshaphat ben Yisrael. How you doing, Zaquin? Shalom Aleichem.
Alaikum shalom, Aki. All is well. All praise to the Most High Yah. Todah for this evening, this occasion to get a chance to talk about some of the great things we see happening throughout the earth at this time.
Amdivar. Oh man, it's definitely an honor and a privilege. It's always good to just sit back and listen to you. Like I told DJ Genesis, Detroit, have her part, because we're about to journey. But before we get into your book, The Revelations of Daniel, prophetic utterances to Black America and all mankind, could you give a brief synopsis about your background, where you come from, your upbringing briefly, and how did you get into the Israelite culture, etc., and then finding the Jerusalem Chronicle newspaper, and then from there we'll slide into the book, right? Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right, great. Like most of our people, being a descendant of the captives of the Transatlantic Slave Trade, I come, from the masses of our people, just like the most of us. And I came up in the deep South down here in Memphis, Tennessee. And one thing about it in my personal life, in my journey over to where I'm at, one profound thing that happened while I was living in Memphis at the age of 11 in 1968, Dr. King was assassinated. And Dr. King was assassinated that April the 4th in 1968. And I was 11 years old at that time. And so I was behind the brothers who were in the streets, the teenagers who were doing the protesting and all that like that. So I was a little shorty. I was 11, but I was old enough to understand what was going on. And so I realized what was happening, because when it happened that evening, I remember all the women, the mothers and things coming out on the front porch that evening, and all of them came out and saying, they killed him, he's dead. And they were in tears. And so we were outside in the front yard playing. And so I never forgot that. I never forgot that. And so in my journey as I continue, it was like etched in my mind. And so as I continue coming on, you know, as after high school, I journeyed into the Navy for a couple of years. And while I was there, that's when I got a chance to meet a lot of brothers who had a lot of information on Black history and things like that that I had never known before. And so I got a chance to start reading the autobiographies of Malcolm X. I got a chance to start looking at the movement, the Black Panther movement, and started looking at all those things like that. And so that also was etched in my mind as well. But after the service, I went to the University of Memphis. At that time, it was called Memphis State. And so as I went to Memphis State, this was in 1976. And so as I was going to Memphis State one day, I was studying radio TV communication. That was my major, radio TV production. And one day I came over in the UC building. And as I came over in the UC building, all of a sudden I saw all these students. They were gathered around these two brothers. And these two brothers, they had turbans on and they had dashikis on. And so, as I said, I was always, you know, semi-conscious. So when I see them with the dashikis and the turbans on, so I gravitated toward the conversation. And so as I gravitate toward the conversation, I come to find out that these brothers were Israelites. They were Hebrews. And in the process of them speaking to the students, I don't know how one of them turned around and asked a question. He said, "Brother, how long we been in slavery over in America?" And so he asked me. And so at that time it was 1976, and they were celebrating the centennial. So I said 200 years. This is 1976, and America started in 1776. Said, "No, brother, no. It's almost 400 years. It's almost 400 years." And so that was the first time I had heard that. And so as they continued to talk, you know, they began to talk about a lot of things. And at that time, you know, I had a good ear, so I could absorb and listen. And so I listened. And at that time, I didn't actually get into it. That was in 76. It was a couple of years later, about 78, that I actually came back to that because I was in radio TV production for a while. But after that experience, I came back to that. And so ironically, one of the same brothers that I had met in 76, I met the brother again downtown in 1978, brother named Judah. And at that time, he told me, "Hey, man, the brother's doing classes." And so I was ready at that time. So at that time, me and my Isha, we went to the Hebrew classes, and that was the beginning right there. And from there, I studied up under a brother named Aaron Casey. He was the son of Lucius Casey out of the Casey farm out of Chicago, Illinois. And that goes back, that was connected to Chicago, Southern Illinois, Memphis, all that's connected. And so that's how initially came over. And from there, just began to study and observe and just come up through the ranks, my brother.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. So as you're coming up in the ranks, and you're going and late Elder Casey Wrestling completeness. He's definitely a renowned, respected Israelite leader, you know, and I'm working on a piece right now. It's going to take me probably another 5 years, but I'm working on a piece right now, whereas though I want to document this information about pioneer Israelite movements starting out as, you know, during slavery, starting in 1798 up into our present time. Probably can get into that briefly. So this is experience, so to say, and now you're connected to the Israelite culture. Now travel us into the Jerusalem Chronicle newspaper, and you also got something called Israelite Banner. Could you slide in that? As a matter of fact, many people may not know, I was also a contributing columnist for your newspaper, the Jerusalem Chronicle, for at least
Yes,
5 years.
Yes, sir.
Could you give us a synopsis on that? And then we're going to get straight into your book, and let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Yes, sir. Be glad to. And so now I'm in the community, and so I'm studying, and I'm looking around, and like I said earlier, I was already into communication into mass communication, things like that. And so I was the type of person that always wanted to kind of reach out and to know about others. So I began to wonder were there other brothers and sisters who understood the same thing that we understood. And so one day I was going to the library over at the, it was called Shelby State, now it's called Southwest. So one day I was going over to the library, and as I went to the library, I went through and skimmed through the books, and I picked up a book called The Small Sects in America, SECTS, The Small Sects in America. And when I picked up that book called The Small Sects in America, they had a piece on William Crowder, going back to 1896. They had a piece on Wentworth A. Matthew, going back to 1919. They had a piece on Prophet Cherry. And I had never heard of these people and didn't even know nothing about these people, because all I knew was his local class that I was a part of there in Memphis. And so I had no idea that this was as broad as it was. And the book said that we had Israelites at that time. This is back in 1980. This is about 1980, 81. At that time, they said they had Israelites in New York. They had Israelites in Philadelphia. They had Israelites in Cincinnati. They had Israelites in Warren, Ohio. They had Israelites in Detroit. They talked about Israelites in Washington, D.C. All this was in this book. And so I said to myself, at that time, that's when the thought came to my mind. I said to myself, it would be a good thing if somehow we could all link up. How could all of us link up since we were all here? Because like I say, I didn't know that we were here like that. And so I say, how could we possibly link up? And so that was the seed that went into my mind, thinking, how could we link up? And so what happened is that I had a flashback to a brother that I used to know at the University of Memphis named Umze. His name was Umze Ajanaku. And at that time, there was something like the Move movement in Philadelphia. You know how the Move brothers, the dreadlocks and stuff like that. He was a part of the Ajanaku family. There was an Afrocentric family located in North Memphis. But while I was going to college, he was the editor of a paper on the campus called the BSA Journal, the Black Student Association Journal. He ran that paper single-handedly. I used to go up there and look at him and see him laying the paper out, writing the stories and doing all that type of stuff. And if he didn't do that paper on the University of Memphis campus, we wouldn't have had no way for all of the students, the Black students especially, on the campus to have no way to disseminate mass information. So I saw him do that. And so the thought came to my mind, I need to do that. I need to do that with the Hebrew paper the same way that Umze had done the BSA Journal. So I went back to school and I took up graphics. And I went back to Tennessee Technology and I took up graphics and I learned graphics. And so what I did is I mixed the graphics in with the mass communication. Like I said, it was earlier doing radio and TV. So I mixed in the mass communication from radio and TV and turned it over to print, and then mixed in the graphics with it so I could actually do the paper itself. And so I mixed that in, and ironically, when I went back to the graphic school, Tennessee Technology Center, our last assignment, the teacher said, we would like for you all to design a front page of a paper. That's going to be your final assignment, that you got to make the front page of a paper. And so when he said that, other people, students, they went and copied the local paper, they did this paper. But I said, why don't I do the front page of my own paper? And then I thought about, well, what could I name it? Then I thought about Jerusalem, because the Most High said, let Jerusalem come to your mind. And then I thought about Chronicles, because that's what we're going to be doing, like the book of Chronicles. And you read in the Chronicles, it tells you the life of the Israelites, what they're doing, who the king is, what his actions were, what moves the people made, and so forth. So I knew that what the newspaper will be doing is chronicling our lives. So that's why I came up with Jerusalem and came up with Chronicle. And so I did the first page. And then I said, well, since I did the first page, why don't I just add 7 more pages and just make it 8 pages? And so I added 7 more pages, made it 8 pages. And then I said, well, where can I get it published at? So I thought about Umze. I remember where he used to go get his paper published at. So I said, let me go over there where Umze used to go. So I went over there where Umze used to go, and then they published the first issue of the Jerusalem Chronicle. That was in March of 1990. And so after I had got the paper out, I still didn't have any way to connect with the broader community. But the brother named Judah that I told you I met at Memphis State, somehow he knew a brother in Tacoma, Washington named Michael Israel. Michael Israel, at that time, him and Judah, they were close friends. And Judah and we were close friends because we went to the same Hebrew class together. So when I put the paper out and Judah did an article in the paper, Judah said, I'm going to send one to my friend out in Tacoma, Washington. I don't know how, I think they met through a brother named Ramon, but he's passed now. But anyway, he said, I'm going to send a copy out to my friend out in Tacoma, Washington, named Michael Israel. So he sends a copy of the paper to Michael Israel in Tacoma, Washington. Then Michael Israel gets the paper. He contacts me and he said, Brother Jehoshaphat, I got a list of some Israelite congregations in New York and Philadelphia and places like that. He sent it to me. And when he sent it to me, I began to disseminate the paper to all the addresses that he gave me. And through the word of mouth, we began to come up from grassroots up to where it is right now.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. That's deep because I know for a fact I got involved with the Jerusalem Chronicle roughly around 1998-ish, somewhere around there. And by the time I got involved being a contributing columnist, it was already global, worldwide. We see if DJ Genesis can, while we're talking, you could show clippings of what I put in the inbox so people can get like a visual bird's eye view what we're talking about. I see that the newspaper has went from what we know in the United States, well, starting in Memphis, Tennessee, and then spreading throughout the United States. Now it's worldwide. It's all over, Africa. Could you give a brief synopsis of your trips to Dimona, Israel, you meeting Ben Ami, along with, your establishment the first Israelite conference in Ghana, West Africa, and brief synopsis of the Israelite banner. Then from there, we can start on the presentation with the presentation.
Okay, all right. I would like to, I have to really give props to two brothers in the community. Well, three, actually three. First, I want to give props to Prince Daniel. Okay, Prince Daniel, at that time, he was with Rabbi Fune, Beth Shalom Benazak, Ethiopian Hebrew community out of Chicago.
If I'm not mistaken, Silica, great Zaquin. If I'm not mistaken, so people would know, Prince Daniel used to be known as Chief Daniel, right?
Okay, right. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
The name of Star Shalomo. He used to be Shalomo. They were best friends. And so everybody also know, anybody that knows what is his name? What's his name? You know Daniel's son name?
Yeah, I know that Amishada. I think it's Amishada.
Yeah,
That's one of his sons named Amishada. He went to Dimona with him. He went up to Dimona with him, over to Israel with him. Right.
Yes. Okay, so go ahead and continue on what you're saying.
Okay, so by now, the paper has become a part of the community. And so we go to a conference down in Atlanta called the Sacred Law Conference. This was sponsored by Morey Elisha out of Cincinnati, the House of Israel of Cincinnati. And so now it's 1994. And this was a big conference. I mean, Israelites from all across the United States of America came. You had Israelites from Philadelphia. You had Israelites from Chicago. You had Israelites from New York. You had Israelites from Memphis. You had Israelites from all the cities across the United States of America. And they came together for the Sacred Law Conference. It was a great conference. And this is why I made a lot of contacts. And Prince Daniel was one of the contacts that I made, him and Rabbi Funet. And so through that contact, I began to go to Chicago. Prince Daniel had good relationships with the KOI, especially with Prince Asiel. And so in the process of time, Prince Daniel introduces me to Prince Asiel, and Prince Asiel invites me to come to Israel to do a story on the kingdom in the Monavan. And so I eventually made that trip in the year 2000. And even before then, I want to say this. When Rabbi Ben Ami used to come back to Memphis, I mean, not to Memphis, but back to America, because he would come back, so often he would come to Houston, Chicago, Atlanta, places like that, make the circuit where the kingdom extensions were. And so I used to always go visit and make sure that I got on the circuit, to make sure I speak to him. And I have to give it to him. That Rabbi was one of the greatest supporters as far as financial. He really used to put his money where his mouth went as far as supporting the Chronicle. So I appreciated him with that. And also, like I said, Prince Asiel, he arranged the trip in order for me to go to Dimona, Israel in the year 2000. And all of this was because I had met Prince Daniel back in 1994 at the Sacred Law Conference. So I'm making contacts, and that's what the paper is all about, communicating, making contacts, bone to bone, us coming together as a people, trying to come with a clear vision at that time of what we were going to do as a nation, because at that time, we were working on some of the same issues that we're working on right now. That's a beautiful picture. I remember that picture when that picture was taken back in 2000 right there. We were at there, Rabbi came out, and you have Emmanuel right beside him. You have Prince Asiel right there. You have Rakameen. You have Elkanah. You got Prince Yam, Aram. You got Gabriel. All the brotherhood right there. All those brothers, man. They were like the elder brothers to me at that time. So I was a junior brother behind them. And so I always appreciated the tenacity, and I always appreciated the courage and things that they had, and the moves that they made, as an Israelite people. And so, we standing on some of that right now, as a community right now, as far as our presence in the land. So, and also I'd like to add this. Let me add this also to go along with that. So when I went to the land of Israel for the first time in the year 2000, so I go to the land of Israel, and I move throughout the land of Israel and see all the various things in the land. What I began to notice is that the land of Israel itself, the Jewish state, that if America had 51 states, then the Jewish state would be the 51st state. Because what I saw is that it was very westernized. They themselves, they were very westernized as far as the architecture, as far as what way they do business, as far as the way that they do business, their dress and everything, very westernized. So I began to see that the kingdom, they actually brought the only Afrocentric presence that you had in the land. And without the kingdom, there wouldn't have been no Afrocentric presence in the land, because the Jewish state is very westernized. And this is why when we see in the world, when things always happen, Israel always line up with the West, and the West always line up with Israel. And their biggest supporters come from Western Europe and the United States of America. And the Jewish state is actually just an extension. And I think that's what my brothers found out once they went to Israel and in their experiences with Israel. For example, back in 1985, they was doing the brothers and the sisters so bad in the land during that period of time, they were going to have a march on Jerusalem. And so they were going to march on Jerusalem to protest the conditions that they were facing in the land, because again, they didn't welcome them. They didn't welcome pure racism. They didn't welcome no law return, no opening arms for them, although they claim in Israel and although they coming back under the law return. You see no open arms, you see no kindness, you see no welcoming from them. And so as time go on, and as the brothers and sisters claim their birthright, the state of Israel actually become very antagonistic. And as they become very antagonistic, the brothers were going to just not go for that. So they want to break out and march up to the city to actually protest what was happening to them. Do you know that the Israeli police came down and they circled the Kippur, and they would not let the brothers and the sisters lead the Kippur to go up to Jerusalem to make a statement. So the land has been very unreceptive to them, although the Most High has caused them to be able to persevere and actually prosper. The only reason that they're persevering and prospering is because of the spirit of Yah, not the kindness of the Jewish state. Even I can go back as late as 2022, before the war broke out. They were talking about deporting several families even then. And here we are, these brothers and sisters has been in the land ever since 1969. So they were still being antagonistic, even up until that point. But again, the land belongs to these brothers and sisters and belongs to you and I and all of us so-called Black American in the United States of America. And that brings us to the book. But this is why the statement and the title of the book is Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America and all mankind. We have to understand our birthright. And our birthright is the land of Israel. Our birthright is that we are the Hebrew people. And our birthright is our nationality is the land of Israel. This is the majority of the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade who come to the United States of America in bondage, who come into Jamestown, Virginia, as of August the 19th of 1619, beginning a 400-year Holocaust in the United States of America. This land, the land of Israel, which is known as Palestine, ancient Canaan, that land belongs to the brothers and sisters who went there in 1969. And that was very prophetic, very prophetic. Think about it, what I just said. I said the American captivity started in 1619. I said the brothers and sisters, they entered Israel December the 19th, 1969. Actually, 350 years later, so 350 years after the beginning of the Holocaust in the United States of America, the spirit of Yah moves upon these brothers and sisters. He moves upon these brothers and sisters, and they make the Aliyah, and they leave the captivity, the land of the enemy, 50 years before the 400 years. And so the Most High used them to move, to pave the way, and for us to begin to think outside of America. And this is the role that they played. They began to make brothers and sisters start thinking outside of America for the first time. Even, because our people, since Marcus Garvey, nobody had done that. And you know what happened to the Garvey movement? The Garvey movement was put down by the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover. And so nothing had been done since then as far as repatriation, as far as redemption, as far as our great return from the land of captivity, until the Most High rose up those brothers in Chicago and sisters in Chicago. And they came together and they unified and they made that prophetic, historic move toward the land. 350 years, only 50 years short of 2019. And so when 2019 came, it actually was a jubilee year for them. They had been there for 7 times 7. They had, plus that one, they had been there for 50 years. And the Most High had helped them to persevere. And so they were like the he-goat that led the way. Now, once the 400 years was completed, as of 2019, where we are right now, at this point, our people in the United States of America who continue to cry about racism and continue to cry about the conditions and continue to cry about the unfriendliness and the hostility of America, what they fail to realize is that the captivity is over. It's almost another spiritual Juneteenth for our people in this country. And we know what Juneteenth was. And Juneteenth, what happened is that Abraham Lincoln had already issued the Emancipation Proclamation as of January the 1st, 1863. But the people didn't get the message down in Galveston, Texas until June the 19th of 1865. We're talking about almost a year and a half later, 2 years later. And these people continued to pick cotton, harvest tobacco, and be a slave when in fact the command on high had already released them from bondage. This is the same thing that Black America is doing right now in the United States of America. As of 2019, the captivity has been completed. Our people are still functioning as if we're still in 1819, as if we're in 1719 or 1919, as if we still on the plantation, and we still, as if it's not a global world out here, as if the continent of Africa is not here for us to go and set up our own civilizations, our own communities, our own networks, where we will be free and have our own dominion over education, our own dominion over economics, our own dominion over leadership, our own dominion over our health care, where we will not be forced to, because that's what they're trying to do in America, force an anti-Yah agenda on our people, anti-Yah to the core. And so we will not be forced to fight this anti-Yah agenda that our people are actually being devastated by here in the United States of America. Our people are being devastated. And see, this message is not, and I want to say this to our people too. See, for too long, our people do not understand that when we say Hebrew, we're not talking about a religion. Hebrew is not a religion. Hebrew is a ethnicity, like an ethnicity. Like, what's your ethnicity? Somebody may say, my ethnicity is I'm Irish. Somebody say my ethnicity, I'm Italian. Some people may say my ethnicity, I'm English. Well, when you say Hebrew, that's our ethnicity. This is the people that we are. Another word you can use is your race. This is the ethnicity. So when we say Hebrew, we reclaiming our birthright as the descendants of the ancient Afro-Asiatic Hebrew people. But it's not a religion. And what they do in America is that when we say Hebrew, they lump us into the same pot as if when they say Christianity, or when they say Islam, or when they say Judaism, or when they say Buddhism, and so forth. Those are religions. When you say Hebrew, you're talking about a nationality. Now, our nationality is Hebrew. Our ethnicity is Hebrew. Our nationality is Israelite. So when we say Hebrew and we say Israelite, we're not talking about religion. And so the people in the United States of America, that they've given the names colored, they've given the names Negro, they've given the name Black, they've given the name Afro-American, African-American, all the different proverbs and bywords that they've called our people by over the last 400 years. None of those names describe who we really are, because as well as they brought us in captivity and colonized us economically and colonized us politically, they also colonized our mind spiritually as well. So we walk around talking about we Black, and Black is not even an ethnicity, and Black is not even a nationality. And this is why people are able to play games on us. Going back to the situation that you were addressing just today earlier, my brother, when you addressed the situation about Kamala Harris, and the fact that because our people do not have any knowledge about the ethnicity and the nationality, and they know only a color like Black or white or blue or green or red, those colors, those are not ethnicities, those are not nationalities. And because our people have been stripped of that, and be given these negative titles that have been given, our people, anybody that's got melanated skin can claim to be us. I don't care whether they're Kenyan, I don't care whether they're Indian, I don't care whether they're from India, I don't care where they're from, because we have no knowledge of nationality. We don't know what nation we come from. When you go to the continent of Africa, Prince, you know that when you go to Africa, although all those people look the same, people know they're Tanzanian, and people know they're Ghanaian, people know they're Ethiopian, people know they're Somalian, They know they're Nigerian. They don't call themselves black. They call themselves by the ethnicity and by the nationality. They don't do that nowhere but among us, because we are in the valley of the dry bones, of people that don't know our past, our present, and our future, and all they've given us since we've been here is religion. But this book that the Most High, Yah, blessed me to write, this book, the Revelations of Daniel, Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America, for the first time in spirituality, we're not in the back of the bus. We're not in the back of the bus. I didn't say all mankind and Black America. I said Black America and all mankind, because we finna move from the back of the bus. We finna move from the tail. We finna move from where strangers rule over us as the head and we're the tail. No, with the new mindset that the Most High, through the prophetic utterance that he has pronounced, we finna come to the head of the class. But in order for us to come to the head of the class, it is imperative that we return to our true ethnicity and our true Israelite nationality. And the Most High has given us a culture that goes with that. And the culture that we embrace as being the Hebrew people, as being the Israelite people, the culture that we embrace, it is opposite of everything that they've taught us here for 400 years in the United States of America. So in order for our people to be free, if they want to be free, the only way that we're going to be free, number one, is that we got to reclaim our mind. That's the first step, is reclaiming your mind. If we cannot reclaim our mind, then we stuck in bondage perpetually. So number one, we have to understand that everything that they taught us, they didn't teach us that because they were our friends. They taught us because they were our frenemies. They smiled in our face and stabbed us in the back. That's why they taught us that. And they gave us something that they knew wasn't going to help us. And I want to say to our brothers and sisters, especially to the Christian brothers and sisters, first, we address the Christian brothers, Black America. Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America. What do Yah have to say to Black America that's got a church on every corner? Every corner you come to Detroit, you come to Philadelphia, you go to New York, you go to Pittsburgh, you come to Memphis, you come to Jackson, Tennessee, you come to Jackson, Mississippi, you go to Denver, you go to LA, you go to Oakland, you go to Richmond, everywhere our people dwell. What do you see on every corner? A high place to the Christian God that the slave masters gave our people when we came here after 1619, when it was against the law to read and write. Although it was against the law to read and write, they will come out to the outhouses and indoctrinate you and make you just believe. And just believe. All you got to do is believe. You can't read now, but you can believe. And we just want you to believe. And for 400 years, our people have been believing in the lie that the Gentiles have taught us. And as Prince Isaiah once said, and I remembered it, he said, if a man don't treat you right, how in the hell he gonna teach you right? So if a man is whipping your back, and if a man hanging you in the tree, and a man terrorizing and torturing you, how are you gonna turn around and expect that these people gave you something for your benefit? How stupid can our people be? But yet our people continue to have these pagan places of worship on every corner, throughout every space that we dwell in the United States of America. And I'm here to tell you that Yah is angry with Black America for that. The creator of the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that is therein is, he is totally angry with Black America because of their infatuation with Baal, B-A-A-L. They just got a new name called Jesus Christ. He's totally upset because they would not turn back to him after he have been so kind and gracious as to send brothers and sisters before them to introduce them back to their Hebrew heritage, to introduce them back to the land of Israel, to show them ways out of this country, out of the captivity. Well, what do our people do? They continue to walk around and go in circles, and they continue to go to church every Sunday, and they continue to cry out to a false power that has no power. And the evidence is so true that it has no power. Where's the power? George Floyd, knee on his neck. Where's the power? Trayvon Martin eating Skittles and drinking some iced tea. Where's the power? Austin Sterling selling CDs. Where's the power? Freddie Grant in the back of a police cruiser, and they bounce him around and take his life. Oscar Grant outside in Oakland. The list go on and on and on and on. But every Sunday, the masses of our people fill up these places, offer all their gold, all their silver, all their paycheck, all their money to this false idea to enrich this pagan priest who's not telling you nothing about who you really are, what your ethnicity is, which is you're a Hebrew. He's telling you a Christian. What is a Christian? That's no nationality. Then he won't tell you, he won't tell you your nationality, that you're from Israel. He let you think, even they go to tell the people in church. This is what one Christian people told a brother that I know. Well, you know what? You need to make sure you go and pray for the Jewish people. You know, they God's chosen people, you know. So you better go and pray for them because they God's chosen people. The biggest lie I've been told. So the black church is guilty of perpetuating the lie that the European Jewish man is a biblical Israelite that you read about when you read the ancient Hebrew scriptures. And we all know that that is a lie. So the church is doing actually a disservice to Yah. They're doing a disservice to Yah. And this is why the enemy allowed them to proliferate. And this is why the enemy make the preacher the big man and try to demonize every other man, because he's serving their purpose. He's serving their purpose of keeping our people down, were blind, deaf, and dumb, that they may never return to their true power, to their true ethnicity, to their true nationality. They'll never know under the spell that these people have placed our people under. Our people are under a demonic spell. And I tell you, you know how you're under a demonic spell. What other people you know kill each other like we do? What other people you know rob each other like we do? What other people you know rape each other like we do? What other people you know won't spend a dime with each other like we do? What other people love another people more than they love themselves like we? No other people like this. No other people like this. It was the book of Isaiah talked about it in the 53rd chapter. There's no beauty that no one should desire. A dry ground. A people that don't know where to come from. A people don't know where they're at and don't know where they're going. They think they're going to the poll next month in November, and somehow they're going to get relief at the poll. But little do they know, they're going to get 4 more years of empty promises, regardless of who gets the job. Because your salvation is not with man. Your salvation is coming back to your true ethnicity and coming back to your true nationality, something that you refuse to do. And as long as you refuse to do so, you're going to continue to experience the negative effects of the covenant that the Most High has made with us as a people. So our people can act like it don't exist and act like maybe, you know, that's a religion, you know, that's what Prince believe in, you know, that's what Prince believe in. You know, he got his religion, I got my religion. You can think like that if you want to. That's not what we're talking about. If our people continue to think like that, they're going to continue to see what we're about to see, which brings us to the book. Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America. Now, why do you think the Most High has caused my brother Prince to go to Tanzania, has caused other brothers to go and sisters to go to Ghana, has caused other brothers and sisters to go to other various countries throughout the continent of Africa? Because the spirit realm is moving these brothers and sisters out of this country, because they're going to be, Yah's using them as a sign to let the masses know what they eventually got to do. And so Black America, we must break our habitual fetish that we have with the United States of America. And America done laid us so wrong. They done laid us so wrong. It's a shame how they done laid us so wrong. They got us eating wrong. I mean, to the point that going back to the plantation, he get through eating a hog. He don't want the hog. So he get through with the guts. He instead of him throwing the guts, you know, he didn't got the good part he want. He, you know, with his uncircumcised self. He ain't got no business eat no hog no how. But anyhow, when he do eat the hog, he want the ribs. He want the lean part. He want the roast. He want all that. And so when he get through eating the swine, He ain't got nothing but the trash left, which is the guts and the waste and everything. And what do? Tell the Negro, you go out there and you make brick without straw. You make that food taste like something, although it's guts, although ain't nothing but bloody guts that feces run through, although it ain't nothing but the dung heel track. I want you to go out there and I want you to make brick without straw. I want you to make them things taste good and eat them things. And so that is something that actually defiled us. Actually defiled us. That's what the law say. The Most High say you should not defile yourself in these things. So what is the enemy doing? He's defiling us. What is he doing? Getting us a religion. He's defiling us. What is he also doing? Getting us as far as ways he can from our Hebrew heritage. And as long as he can do that, do you know that that's the way that he keep power over us? Because this is a spiritual war, family. This is not no temporal war. You ain't gonna be able to vote your way out of this. You ain't gonna be able to get no guns and fight your way out of this. You can get a black militia all you want to. You can do all you want to. You can come together and try to be the deacons of defense. You can try to be the Black Liberation Army. You could be the Black Panthers or the new Black Panthers. It's all well. Try. But that's the game he played. That's the game he played. He played that game. You going into his lane. But as our great elders once said, when we take him over to the spiritual lane, that's a lane he ain't never been in. So now we got the advantage in this lane because we have the connection with the creator, the eternal. And we've been calling on his name and we've been walking in his ways. And he is on our side as opposed to them being against us. And when he is for us, it don't make no difference who against us. Anybody could be against us and y'all on our side. So I don't care if they're against us, as long as Yah is for us. And so this is what our people need to understand. They need to make a 180-degree turn like they did during the days of Samuel. Samuel told them during the day when they asked for a king, Samuel told them to say, look, he said, y'all done did wrong in asking for a king. All the time, Yah, your power was your king. But nevertheless, in so much that you did ask, he said, if you do good and right in the eyes of the Most High, then he'll be with you and your king. But he said, if you do evil in the eyes of Yah, he's going to destroy both you and your king. And that's what Black America need to understand. You can't put your trust in America. You cannot put your trust in America. America is under judgment. This is why we say Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America and all mankind. So now let's talk about mankind. We just talked about what we got to do. What we have to do.
Playing.
Yes, sir.
And now, since inside the book, I want you to explain to the people. I mean, this is my second time reading it now. And one thing I've seen that, and I know you're going to get into this, and I know DJ Jen is going to love this. You speak about Daniel in this vision that he had in the second chapter of the book of Daniel, along with the seventh and chapter, and we see this image of gold, silver, bronze, and iron. Could you align the ancient history of us being in the Babylonian captivity, Media, Persia, Greece, Rome, etc., the Arab, and bring it on down to us here?
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to. Can, yes, sir. I would love to give my brother a synopsis of that. Going back, brothers and sisters, going all the way back, let it be known, as I said earlier, we are the descendants of the Hebrew people. We are the Israelite people. In particular, we're from the kingdom of Judah. And when you study our history, you'll find that we had two kingdoms after the death of King Solomon. We had the kingdom of Israel, and we had the kingdom of Judah. We're going to concentrate on Judah. When we look at the kingdom of Judah, Judah was founded and destroyed in 586 BCE. After three invasions, there was one invasion, a second invasion, and when the third invasion came, Jerusalem was totally destroyed. The ancient Afro-Asiatic Hebrew people were taken captive out of ancient Babylon, and they were taken over to Babylon. The ones that did not go to Babylon, those were the ones that went down into Africa, went into Egypt and Ethiopia, and eventually made their way across to the western coast. All right, so now we're in Babylon. And so now that we're in Babylon, and what has Nebuchadnezzar done? Nebuchadnezzar the king, he has destroyed the house of Yah, because all the people throughout the ancient land knew that the Hebrew people believed that the true creator of the heavens and the earth and the sea was with them. So it was known that this was the house of the living power. And so when Nebuchadnezzar is able to come up and run up with battering rams and come up with swords and spears and burn it down, in his mind, Nebuchadnezzar began to see himself as a deity, as a god in the flesh, to be worshiped and to be bowed to. And so in his arrogance, he's puffed up. He destroyed Jerusalem. He's all puffed up. He's to be worshiped and to be revered. So the Most High said, I'm going to check him. I'm going to check him. I'm the true. I'm going to let him know. I'm going to break him down. And that's what the Most High can do. He can break it down. I don't care how big you are. He can level you down. So Nebuchadnezzar, he have his normal evening, you know, the festive occasion, the music, the wine, the women, the boys, the girls, all the fetishes that he's involved in. And so he go to lay down. And so when he go to lay down at night, the Most High mess with his mind, because that's how the Most High deal with us in our mind. And so the Most High wanted to reach out and touch him, to let him know that he was nothing but mortal man. He was not an Elohim in the flesh. And so the Most High put a terrifying nightmare on him. And so he gave him a nightmare while he was asleep. And so we know what the nightmare was. So he was asleep. And so the Most High causes him to see an image. And so the Most High had to reach out with him with the image, because that was his specialty. He was an idol builder. As well as a king, he specialized in idolatry, building monuments to hanging gods, the temple of Miradad, the temple of this, the temple of that. So that's what he specialized in, building pagan temples and deities. And so the Most High said, I'm going to reach out and touch him, something that he'll understand, but I'm going to terrify him. So he lay down to go to sleep. And when he closed his eyes to go to sleep, the Most High began to put a motion picture in his head. And the Most High put this motion picture in his head, and he saw this statue. And once he saw this statue, he saw the statue in his dream, and he saw that the head of the statue was gold. And then he saw that the chest and the arms of the statue was silver. Then he saw that the waist and that the thighs was brass, and that the pelvis and the legs, they were iron. And then he saw down at the toes. He looked at the toes, and the toes were partly iron and partly clay. And as he continued to see this motion picture in his head, all of a sudden he saw a stone cut out the mountains without hand, and he came and smote the image. And when he smote the image, the stone became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. And then the gold and the silver and the brass and the iron and the clay, it was cast away like the chaff of the summer threshing floor. It didn't exist no more. And so once he saw it, all of a sudden the Most High snatched it from him. He snatched the whole motion picture from him. And so he woke up in a cold sweat, and he said, I didn't dream something. I didn't dream something. I need to know what it is. I didn't dream something. What it is. So he had an emergency session. He called all the wise men in. He called all the wise men in. He called in the astronomers, the astrologers. He called in the exorcists. He called in the diviners. He called in the Chaldees, the learned men. He called in all the people that's supposed to have all the esoteric knowledge, the esoteric insight, because he knew that this was something deep and he needed to understand it, and it was gone. And so he bring them in the emergency session, and he asked them, I need y'all to tell me the dream and the meaning of the dream. They heard that, but that was above them, because they were dealing with nothing but pagan mediums, the very mediums that the Most High tell us not to deal with in Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 9 through 12. He tells us don't deal with these mediums, but we see these are the very mediums that the Babylonians, they consulted with to get higher intellect or to try to understand esoteric dark things. So they would inquire these people to understand hopefully the unknown. And so they were like government employees. So Nebuchadnezzar says, they said, well, king, we can't tell you the dream, because there's no man alive that can tell you the dream. No king acts of such things as this. There's no man that's living can do this. And so Nebuchadnezzar gets mad. He said, well, you can't tell me the dream. I'm executing all of y'all, because I know y'all been lying to me all the time, just telling me what I want to hear. And I know now and find out that y'all ain't nothing but deceivers. So at that point, he put out, at this time, he's going to have a mass execution of all the wise men. He's going to replace them with a new administration of wise men. And so now, of course, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they ain't never house servants. They were eunuchs. They were never house servants in the college. They was just doing the work in the college, being, the underlings. But like everything else, when it's the bad stuff, we include it. When it's the good stuff, it's only them by themselves. So now you're talking about execution. So everybody got to be executed, whether you a eunuch or whether you a Chaldean. Everybody got to die. So Daniel and his brethren, they hear about it. They hear about the hit that's been made, that's about to go down. And so they say, oh yeah, don't let us die with them. Don't let us die in this. So they went and asked the Most High. They asked the Most High, would you reveal to me what the dream was? And could you give me the meaning of the dream? And so they went and asked the Most High, what was the dream? And what was the meaning of the dream? And the dream was this: the Most High began to replay the dream back to Daniel and the brethren. And he said, what he saw was a head of gold. What he saw was a chest and arms of silver. What he saw was a waist and the thighs of brass. What he saw was legs of iron and feet and toes of polished iron and polished clay. And then he saw a stone that was cut out without hands, and it smote the image, and it became a great power in the earth. So this is what he saw. And he went to explain to Daniel what was the meaning of that. And so let's break that down to what Yah was saying, because that was Yah's prophetic utterance at that time to the children of Israel, the Hebrew people, who are today known as Black America. Okay, but this is the first utterance. The first utterance comes at the head of the gold. My book, it comes during the times of the toes of part of the iron and part of the clay. So this is the beginning. This is the ending. And so Daniel tells his overseer, well, I understand the dream. I can tell him what the dream is. Bring me in before the king. So they bring Daniel in before the king. And Nebuchadnezzar is arrogant, just like these people are. They're arrogant. They think they know everything. They think they know more than us. They think they're more educated than us. They think they got a higher intellect than us. So Nebuchadnezzar looked down at Daniel. Are you able to tell me the interpretation of the dream? And Daniel shot back because he sensed his arrogance. He said, cannot your wise men of Babylon tell you the dream? In other words, why you doubt me? Your own people can't answer. But there is a power in heaven. And this power in heaven, he began to speak. And when he began to speak, Nebuchadnezzar had a total recall. He began to have a total recall in his mind. And Daniel began to tell him, you saw a head of gold. Now what that gold represents is the kingdom of Babylon. That's you, O king. You are the head of gold. And he went on to tell him that after you, there's going to be another empire. And the next empire going to come behind you. And this empire going to replace your empire, letting him know that he was not a deity in the flesh. Look, boy, you're just going to live for a portion of time, and I'm going to sweep your power away, and another kingdom going to come after you. So the Most High basically broke them down. And there's going to be another kingdom to come after you. And then this kingdom is going to be silver. And there's going to be another kingdom that's inferior that's going to come after that, and that's going to be brass. And there's going to be another kingdom that come after that empire, and that's going to be iron, which we know is the Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire, which is the iron, it continues down to the legs, and the legs are the longest part of your body. The legs are your longest part of your body. So these Romans are these Europeans, or these Aryan people, as we sometimes refer to them as. They would have the longest reign on the face of the earth, all the way from the pelvis, all the way down to the toes. And when it got to the toes, they would lose some of their power because it would be partly iron and partly clay. They would not have total dominion like they had during the days of the legs, where you had total iron legs on the east and the west, or the left and the right. And so you come from there and you come down to the modern era. This is where we are today. This is where we are today. We come down to the modern era of the empire of toes. And the empire of toes represents when the world will be ruled in blocks, like toes are blocks, like your big toe and your index toe and your middle toe and your outer index toe and your little toe. Wherever one toe go, they all go. Whatever one toe do, they all do. Whatever one toe say, they all cooperate. There's no such thing as the big toe say this and the little toe say that, or the index toe. Everything will walk together, lock, stock, and barrel. So in the last days, the Creator is telling us that the heathen world will attempt to unite the heathen world like toes into blocks, where the world will be up under a global system where it's all linked together as toes. But there will be one problem about these toes. They will be partly iron and they will be partly clay. And so we do know that each metal in this image, the gold represented the Babylonian people, the Persian represented the silver, the brass were the Grecians, and the iron is the Rome. And so when we come down to the toes, the partly iron are the European powers that have partly dominion. But then when you get to the clay, the Christian theologians for thousands of years have misled people and told them that the clay was connected to the iron and that it represented the iron, the Roman Empire. But no, how could that be true when each metal represents a people? The gold represented the people, the silver represented the people, the brass represented the people, the iron represented the people. So why wouldn't the clay represent the people? The clay does represent the people. The clay represents the people who say, we are the potter and our people are the clay. In other words, there would be people that would break away from the pot of the iron. See, the world is going to be divided. This is what Yah tells Daniel. He says the kingdom shall be divided. So in other words, the global order shall be divided. It's going to be divided between two spheres of power. One sphere of power is going to be partly clay. One sphere of power is going to be partly iron. And they're not going to cleave one to another because iron and clay does not cleave one to another. So what you have to, this is the time that we living in. And so we're talking about toes. Now let's talk about the iron toes. The iron toes are the descendants of the ancient Roman Empire, going back to the iron, all the way up at the pelvis and coming down to the legs. So the partly iron, they are the Europeans or the Romans, as they were called in the ancient times. Today they're known as Europeans. And these partly iron, these people are the Europeans, the Western European nations known today as NATO. These are the toes that include the United States and all the other powers that come together like toes. You see how they go to Brussels, all their flags be up there all together like toes. You see when they meet together and they take the pictures, they stand all side together with each other, just like toes, standing right side linked together. One of them make a statement, whatever Joe Biden say, the big toe, all the rest of them go right along with it. All of them are on the same side, all of them doing the same thing, running in blocks. But the Most High said it was going to be another block. It was going to be a partly clay block. So the partly clay block, these would be the blocks of people that would not want to come under Western domination. Because the Western man, going back to ancient Roman times, he's dominated the world. He's colonized Asia. He's colonized Africa. He's colonized the Americas. He's colonized people all around the world. He uses strength of an iron to brutalize people. He uses his strength of iron to set up imperialism. He uses strength of his iron to torture people during the Berlin Conference. He uses strength of iron to capture our people and to bring us over to the Americas and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. He used the strength of iron to drop atomic bombs on Japan in World War II. Boom! So this man is the Iron Man. He's the strongest man on the block. He's the strongest human man on the block. He got the biggest toys. He got the most money. He's the smartest man, but he only got part of the power. He's partly iron. But now you got the partly clay. These are the ones that in the last days, these will be the ones that will stand up against them. They will stand up against them and say, no, we're not going to let you beat us down. Our leader is going to be the potter and we're going to be the clay. And so in Russia, who is the potter? Karl Marx, Vladimir Lenin, or Stalin, all those men that stood up against the West. That's how Russia became communist. Just look at China. China, who is the potter? Mao Zedong. Back after World War II, when World War II ended, China was under the British. China was under the West, being dominated. Look, the Gentile man had went to China and had all the Chinese people strung out on opium. All the Chinese people walking around sprung out on opium, man, shooting up opium. They were being dominated by the British. But after World War II, Mao Zedong, which was he rose up as a proletarian, as they call it. He was just a regular street guy, a regular grassroots guy, but he had a very commanding personality. He had a very commanding personality, and he was very sharp and skillful. And he was able to be the potter and take the Chinese people away from the UK, from British, and bring the Chinese people up under a new system that he called socialism. And so he became the potter. And when you look at China right now, you look at the big pictures they have of their leaders. You see Mao Zedong, you see a leader, Deng Xiaoping. They are the potters, the people of the clay. They saying, we're not listening to what the West say. Those men, they ain't studying no George Washington. The man that they got up on the stick right here, Mao Zedong, he the potter. They the clay. We're not going to listen to what the West got to say. So you got 10 dominant nations like that in the last days. You got 10 dominant potter clay nations that's going to rise up against the poly iron nations. They're going to be poly divided. And we see this. Who are these poly clay nations today? Number one, Brazil. Brazil breaks away from the United States. Brazil hates the United States of America. Study Brazil, you'll see. Number two, Russia. Russia, we know Russia. Russia talking about launching nuclear weapons at the United States right now. Russia talking about using nuclear weapons in Ukraine. Russia talking about total devastation on the West if they don't stop. India. India also hates the West. India is still doing business with Russia right now. The West want to put sanctions on Russia and say, nobody don't deal with Russia. Nobody don't deal with Russia because they invaded Ukraine. But guess who's dealing with Russia? The poly clay nations. They still supporting Russia. Brazil still supporting Russia. India still supporting Russia. The sea, China still supporting Russia. South Africa still supporting Russia. Matter of fact, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, they also are supporting Russia as well. And so these are the clay nations that are broken away from the West and say the West is not going to dominate us no more. So we got two spheres of power in the world. You got the part of the iron sphere of power. You got the part of the clay sphere of power. And they don't cleave one to another. And this is why you got the war in Ukraine. This is why you got the war in the Middle East right now. Who is the Jewish state? The Jewish state is part of the iron. As I said earlier, who supports the Jewish state? The part of the Iron Toes. Who set up the Jewish state in 1948? The part of the Iron Toes. It was the UK. It was France, it was America. They had the Balfour Declaration. They came together and they passed a bill to give the land of Canaan, which was our land, to give the land of Canaan over to the European Jewish converts. And from that point on, they began to immigrate and migrate back up into what they have today, which is a Jewish state. And so the Jewish state is propped by the part of the Iron Toes. That's who set up the Jewish state. Meanwhile, the Palestinians, they the clay people. They the people that's been beat down so poor, dirt is poor. These are people that were there before they were there. The clay people are the indigenous people also. Another word for the clay is indigenous. They're the indigenous people in different places around the world. But the Iron Man came as a colonizer and he beat these people down. But in the last days, they rose up against them in rebellion. And that's how they set up their kingdoms. And this is why we have what we have in the world today. The book of Daniel tells us all about this. This is what our father was telling Daniel. So we will see these things happening in the last days. And so now that we have these partly clay toes that oppose the partly iron toes, what is the name? Bricks, break away. Iron and clay does not cleave one to another. Break. So he said the kingdom shall be broken. And so bricks is breaking away from the dominion that the Iron Man, the Western man had over the global order. This is prophetic. This is Daniel chapter 2, verses 41 through 43, what we're looking at every day right before our very eyes. Every day, we're walking in motion. We as a people, this is why I say Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America and all mankind. Our people need to understand true spirituality. Religion is false. All religion is false. There's no true religion. All religion is false. All you have is true spirituality. you have spirituality. And this is what the Torah opens up with. It opens up with creation. And creation is spirituality. The heavens is spirituality. The earth is spirituality. The wind is spirituality. The trees are spirituality. The birds are spirituality. Man is a spirituality. The woman is spirituality. We are a spiritual people, not a religious people. They gave us religion to take away our true spirituality away from us. And so this, again, Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America. The dry bones are to wake up in the last day. The Most High gonna breathe the breath of life into them. And the breath of life is that true Hebrew spirituality. So I admonish my people. I would say this to my people. If you really want to be in power, if you really want to see a black man sitting on the throne, if you want to see a black woman sitting beside a black man on the throne as a queen, if you want to see black men in royal apparel, if you want to see black women in royal apparel, if you want to see your people are living in a blessed habitation instead of a cursed habitation, your Hebrew spirituality is the answer. Christianity is not the answer. Islam is not the answer. Judaism is not the answer. Buddhism is not the answer. Confucianism is not the answer. The answer is your Hebrew spirituality for the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. And this is who I'm addressing in the book. Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America. I'm talking to us. We need to talk. We need to talk and get other people out of our business. And the only business that we supposed to have is our business. What about our health? What about our leadership? What about our education? What about our economics? How can we assist each other? That's the conversation that we need to have. And that's not going to be found in the polls. It's not going to be found in the church. It's not going to be found in the United States of America. It's going to be found within us when we come together and talk to each other eye to eye, face to face. This is what we must do, family. This is what we must do. And so now, as we are in the last days, and when we say the last days, we don't mean one day. What we talk about is an era, The last days mean an era. It's an era when the eternal began to wrap things up and began to bring his people out of the valley of the dry bones. And we began to actually come back to the land. And this is how we make our journey to Ghana. And my brother asked me about Ghana earlier. Let me give you a little personal experience on my Ghana piece. Okay, we started an organization called YISAC, which is Israelite Spiritual Action Committee. And we all are YISAC. And what I mean by that is this. We're all Israelites. We're all spiritual. And we all come together as a committee. Israelite Spiritual Action Committee. So we're all Israelites. We all got the spirit of Yah. We want to take action, and we come together to assemble ourselves as a committee. And so we came with a name that would be something that represents us all, Israelite Spiritual Action Committee, because that's something that we all do. And so when we started that back in 2011, in 2012, one of the brothers came to Memphis. And when he came to Memphis, he went to the Civil Rights Museum on the steps where Dr. King was assassinated. Used to be the Lorraine Hotel. And so when he went to the Lorraine Hotel, and he went there, and he went inside, when you go inside the Civil Rights Museum, they got a timeline. And the timeline on the Civil Rights Museum, it starts at 1619 in Jamestown, Virginia. It's in Memphis at the Civil Rights Museum. And it goes all the way up to 1968. And it stops in 1968 with the assassination. Yes, sir.
Yes, that I before Prince Asiel made transition, before I moved to Africa, me and my Isha, we went to Memphis, Tennessee, to that same museum you was talking about. Yep, I've been there.
So you know firsthand, came. And you know that the timeline actually stops at 1968. And so when the brother saw this, the brother said these words. The brother said, you know what? When they killed Dr. King, assassinated Dr. King, they didn't just kill one man. They was trying to kill the aspirations of a people. They didn't want to see a people rise. And so they assassinated him to destroy all of us. Because if there's no shepherd, then the sheep gonna go astray. And so he saw that as he looked at that timeline, and he said that this was a destruction of us as a people. And so from that conversation, and we saw Jamestown, Virginia, 1619 on the timeline, we said, what we need to do is go back to Jamestown, Virginia, when we first came in 1619, and we need to declare what has happened to our people as a Holocaust. We're going to declare this. And we've been talking about the civil rights struggle. We've been talking about Black history. Been talking about Jim Crow. Been talking about all those things, giving them all those different names, But none of those names really tell you what has really happened to us as a people. A Holocaust is when a total burnt offering. A Holocaust is a total destruction of a people, like a nuclear Holocaust. When you burn something down, you have no buildings left. You have no civilization left. You have nothing left. This is what happened to us as Hebrew people. When we came to America, America burned down our Hebrew mind. America as itself, it flattened our understanding of history, that we would never know our history again. America put blinders on us, that we would be so blind, like we're walking in darkness and not knowing the north from the south, the east from the west. And so America actually destroyed the Hebrew people. And so we're not going to play with them and minimize this and talk about Black history. And this was Black. No, I'm going to tell you just what you did. You destroyed the people. This is what you have done. You destroyed the people. And what we're seeing today is the end results of a destroyed people. You maliciously, just like what we read in the Torah. In the Torah, you read about this man named Balak.
Wait,
Balak,
I was gonna say,
he wanted to curse the Israelites. And so he hired a man named Baalim. And Baalim was a high priest of Mesopotamia. And he asked this man to come over to curse these people who had done nothing to him. So you got certain people, brothers and sisters, that try to curse us when we ain't did nothing to them. I'll give you an example of somebody that did it.
but hold on.
Willie Lynch came and just cursed our people, and we had done nothing to him. Yes, sir.
Do you hear me, Zach?
Yes,
the
sir.
sister wanted to ask.
That
Yes,
when
sir.
you're talking about before you moved on to the next story, I was going to say they did this a few times with the killing of the king in front of the people.
I don't hear anything, Prince.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hello?
I hear
Hello?
you, but I don't hear her.
He's saying he don't hear you, but I can hear you though.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear her now?
No, I can't hear her.
Huh, that's
I
weird.
see her.
That's weird.
Oh man, well, I was trying to
Wow.
make a point of how they killed the Black Panther, and that was a king.
I see her.
They killed the Black Panther in front of
And
everybody.
I hear you.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she don't hear. She's saying that they killed the Black Panther in front of everybody, and that was like she must be talking about like Fred Hampton.
Fred Hampton.
I'm talking about the actual movie Black Panther.
Oh yeah, she talking about the movie Black Panther.
No, let me tell you how symbolically, right?
Symbolic.
So that's like another way of creating like a whole. They created like a whole thing by doing that. You know what I'm saying? They created they got everybody all.
What I need you to do, maybe you have to come out and then come back in, DJ Genesis, and people hear you, because I want him to hear what you're saying.
Okay, hold on one second. Hold on.
Okay. She's going to come back in, and I know you be on fire. Hold your thought. She's going to come right back, and because I want you to hear the question she's asking, or the statement that but everybody in the West, the sound of the Jerusalem Chronicle Newspaper, Zaquin Adon, Jehoshaphat Israel, and he wrote a book, The Revelations of Daniel, Yah's prophetic utterance, the Black American Army. Did you say something, DJ?
Check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Can
Hello,
you
check,
can you
check.
hear?
Can you hear me? I
Yeah,
know
I can
my
hear.
thing is. Oh, you can
I
hear
can
me
hear.
now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. No, so I was going to say is that before you moved on to the next thing, it was very profound what you talked about Dr. King, how he had everybody kind of had their hopes up, and then right when he was about to give this great speech on the mountaintop, they killed that, they get rid of him. They did this several times. They did it with Malcolm X. They did it with Martin Luther King. They also then they started to do it in movies.
Right. That's
Shaka
correct.
Zulu, they did it with the movie Shaka Zulu. Then they did, well, that was an actual thing that really happened, right? Then
Right.
they actually did it with the Black Panther. So when they couldn't actually, when we didn't have a charismatic leader to rise up and be the one that everybody, then they begin to create one on film and get us all hyped up about it and then kill them in front of everybody. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. Right.
it's like they constantly trying to like have us like bring us down. Now we have artists that they're bringing up to a certain level. We had Bill Cosby that was brought up to a certain level.
Right.
And boom, now he's in prison. Then
Right.
they got P Diddy, whatever he's going through. Now he gets brought to a certain level. Now he's being brought down. So they're doing it on so many different levels, getting
That's correct.
everybody to look toward this one charismatic person, and then crushing that person in front of us, and then destroying the hope of the people.
That's the whole intention. They don't want to see nobody that's with a persona or that has the ability to bring the people together on a mass level in order for them to think independently of what they've indoctrinated us to. And every man that is tempted to do that, as you pointed out, they have been able to come against them in some type of way in order to take them out. But this is what I'm going to say right now for this day and time that we living in. This movement that we talking about right here, the redemption movement, the movement we talking about right here, the creator being in the forefront as a cloudy pillar by day and a pillar of fire by night. This movement that we talking about by this, they're not going to be able to stop this movement. This is something that they can try, but the more they try, the more they're going to die. The more they try, the more they're going to die. Because this movement is ordained by the creator who spanned the heavens and the earth and the sea. And there's nothing that they can do to undo. This is our time. This is our moment. This is what we're saying in the book right here. The Most High in his infinite wisdom has moved history. And this is why he did this. The reason that the Most High gave Nebuchadnezzar this dream and the reason that he foretold the future to him is that when we get to this point, that the children that will be living in that day and time, which is you and I, we're the children, we're the sons and daughters of the ancients. That's who we are, the sons and daughters of the ancients. So when we, as the sons and daughters of the ancients, will come at this point in our existence, that we will be able to go back and look and have verifiable evidence of the presence of the creator among the nations of men and among people, because you have so much talk about what belief is right, what belief is wrong. I'm this, or I'm that, or these people believe that way, or that people believe that way. You have so much of that going on. And what the creator does, and the creator comes and he lays down the gauntlet and he gives you a forecast, just like the weatherman gives us a forecast. We know if he know what time it is, we tell him tomorrow gonna be sunny. We wake up tomorrow, it's sunny. We say, oh, weatherman got that right. The weatherman tell us it's gonna be raining. We wake up the next day, we see rain. We say, oh, the weatherman got that right. And the weatherman said tornado coming up in Tallahassee and coming up that way on the East Coast, and you better watch out. You look up the next day and you see hurricane winds and see destruction. Well, he got that right. Well, the creator gave this forecast. He gave this forecast. So when we, the sons and the daughters of the ancients, when we see that history unfolded exactly like he said it would unfold, going back to BC, before the Common Era, and coming up to where we are now after the Common Era. And when we see the chain of events take place, empires rise, empires fall, the different things that the creator predicted in this vision, when we see them come to pass, that should be like a forecast to us as the sons and the daughters of the ancients, that this is the true power. This is the true power. And how do we know it's the true power? Because it's the stone cut out of the mountains without hands. The key word is without hands. Without hands. Because man have hands. All men have hands. Nebuchadnezzar had hands. King Cyrus had hands. Alexander the Great had hands. All the Caesars had hands. All the popes and presidents got hands. Even JC, they talk about you be talking about Messiah, this Messiah. He had hands. Had hands. Muhammad, hands. But when you talk about the stone cut out of the mountains, this is without hands. Like you see the levitation of the sun every day. And it's like somebody got a ball, a man holding a basketball on his arm. But you look at the sun, and the sun levitates in the sky as if somebody holding it there. But you don't see no hands. You see the wind blowing across your face, and it's slapping you in the face. You see the hurricane winds just come across America. It's like somebody blowing, and the wind just blowing everything out the way. But you see no hands. The earth quakes, it shakes. But you see no hand, no bombs being dropped like a man get a bomb. I'm going to drop this bomb down on you and boom, you see a man doing that. But when the tornado come through, all you see is wind and no hands. When you see a heat wave, they get everything so hot where they say, it's so hot, it's never been this hot before. It's historically hot. Ain't no hands doing that. Ain't no hands doing that. When the rivers dry, ain't no hands doing that. This is spirituality. And this is what we're trying to bring our people back to, true spirituality, and to get them out of the religion and bring them back to their righteous sense of mind. This is what we're doing. This is the purpose of this book. And so when our people can see this, they will see that what the slave master taught us was wrong, because they never had our best interest in heart. These people have never had. This is another thing our people, not to be hateful. You ain't got to hate nobody, because I ain't got time to go around thinking about you. I'm too busy taking care of my own business. I'm too busy looking for liberation, too busy looking for redemption, and too busy working on offensive plans to move forward as a people, to sit around worrying about you. You're a non-factor to a large degree, because I done did my 400 years. So you're a non-factor. So I don't even have to really think about you like that. So what I'm saying to my people is this, is that they don't even like you like that. They don't even like you like that. Why you all up in them? Why you all into them like that? They don't like you like that. America has no plan of salvation and upliftment for us as a people in this country. And you see what's happening? Look at the destruction of the black family. Look at the black family in the United States of America. Look at the black man, the most incarcerated man in this kingdom, although we're only 13% of the population. Look at the families, the most broken families in the United States of America, but only 13% of the population. Unemployment, who at the top of the list? High taxes, who at the top of the list? Worse diseases, who at the top of the list? Every time again, when it's bad, who at the top of the list? But we as a people, we all up into these people. We let them feed us their wrongdoing. We let them feed us all the things that is against what's in our best interest. And this is how they play us. This is how they play us. And so another purpose of this book is to awaken our people, that the people in power may no longer be able to play games on us, that we'll be able to have the proverbial wisdom to understand that these people got their own best interests in heart. They don't have our best interests in heart. Just like Prince just said earlier today. They think that we so dumb, so blind, and so deaf that anybody can be black. And the reason they say anybody can be black is because they know we don't know our ethnicity and our nationality. They wouldn't dare tell a Japanese a Korean is a Japanese. They wouldn't dare tell a Chinese or a man from India is a Chinese. They wouldn't dare tell an Arabian that an African was an Arab. But you and me, they'll go and get somebody who not even you. And just because they got melanated skin similar to you, they'll pass them off on you. Because why? They know you don't know your ethnicity, and they you don't know your nationality. So anything that look like you, you're going to graft it in. But if you went into the real world, you know that's not true. Because when you go to the real world, you got people that look just like you fighting against each other. You can go to Sudan. People look just like each other, fighting against each other. You can go to the Congo. People looking just like each other, fighting against each other. So just because she got brown skin, like you got brown skin, don't mean she gonna fight for you. She might be fighting against you and might be a tool of the global elite to actually deceive the people so we won't think about coming out of her and doing what we're supposed to do, thinking that maybe we got an opportunity in America. Maybe America is going to be the promised land after all. Maybe we got Obama number 2. And so we ain't never got to worry about we being we Americans. We in with America. But do you know that America has been labeled for destruction by the Creator? Do you know that, Black America? Do you know that the Most High in this prophetic utterance, this is what we say, and this is why, again, Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America and all mankind. Do you know, according to the prophecies, that it is written that the United States of America will be destroyed? That's in the prophetic word. The United States of America will be destroyed. And guess who the Most High say gonna destroy America? In the scriptures, guess who we say gonna do it? Russia. And guess who fighting right now in the world right today? The United States and Russia. If you've been paying close attention to news, you will know that last week, America saw 3 Tu-95 intercontinental bombers flying in the Bering Strait off the coast of Alaska. If you've been paying attention to news, you know that Putin and his military, they sail submarines into Cuba. They sail submarines into Venezuela. If you've been paying attention to news, you will know that Russia does have their nuclear arsenal on readiness because America and NATO, partly iron, partly clay, is talking about trying to destroy them. So what is this to us? These are rumors that the Creator says is going to be heard in the land. He said a rumor going to go out, a rumor going to go out, and the rumor going to be war is coming and war is coming. And once you hear a rumor, you're supposed to do what? You're supposed to take cover and get out of the way of danger. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to get caught up. You're supposed to get out the way and let whoever going to be destroyed, let them be destroyed like a rain. If it's going to be a storm, you bunker down. You get out of the way. If you destruction coming to America, you get out of America and you go to Africa. Ain't no nuclear bombs aimed at Africa. Ain't no atomic bombs aimed at Africa. So the Creator's pointing us the way to go towards safety. He's pointing the way out because America is going to be faced with a nuclear confrontation between Russia and America. China going to be involved too. Iran going to be involved too. North Korea they're going to be toes. They're going to all come together. But Russia going to be the head. It's going to be the big toe. And China going to be right beside it. And Iran going to be right beside it. And guess what they're going to do to America? According to the prophecies, they're going to flatten this kingdom and ain't going to be no more New York, ain't going to be no more Philadelphia, ain't going to be no more Boston, ain't going to be none of these great fabulous cities that we love in America that we can't get enough of. Ain't none of this going to exist no more. Thus says Yah. Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America and all mankind. They're not going to tell you this on CNN. They're not going to tell you this on MSNBC. They're not going to talk about this on Fox News. So what did the Most High have to do? He had to raise up one of his own. He had to raise up one of his own like he did with Daniel in the beginning. And I'm here to give him all the credit. I'm not here to try to lift myself up or pat myself on the back because I just shared in my experience. I didn't know none of this. I told you when I met some people. I told you how I moved along. I told you what my experience was and how I came to where I'm at. So how could I get here and all of a sudden puff myself up and take credit for everything? I wouldn't dare do nothing like that. I know that it's the spirit, the ruach of the Most High that has helped me to understand these things and reveal these things to me. And it's my responsibility to share these things with my brothers and my sisters. So we as a people, as Dr. King said, that we will make it to the promised land. They will make it to the promised land, but it won't be in the United States of America. It won't be in the United States of America. That's for sure. So you got to get ready to get the chains off your brain. Because for 400 years, you've been docile to America. All you know is America. Almost like an elephant that's got a chain on his leg. You can take that chain off the elephant's leg. Do you know that elephant won't go nowhere but where he's been trained to go? Although he done took the chain off the elephant, you put that ball and chain on him. In his mind, he won't go no further than where you already programmed him to be. And that's how Black America is. When they put us out of child slave, they already knew we had chains on our brain. We ain't going no further than that. And so even today, our people continue to display that slave mentality. But it's past 2019. The 400 years has been completed. The Most High says, I will judge that nation. We see judgment coming. Look at the judgment that's coming in the United States of America. Come on, let's talk about this, family. Let's talk about this. Do you know that the Most High has brought the most devastating hurricanes to the United States of America in their history? They said the first one, Beryl, that was back in June. They said, this is the earliest and this is the biggest one that we've ever had. Almighty went through. Ernesto, it come back. This is one of the worst ones we've had in the earliest part of the history. Now we're looking at what they just had yesterday, Helene. It's the worst one that we've seen in American history. The Most High breaking records, family. He breaking records. Do you know that we got hundreds of wildfires in California? Well, the state of California is burning right now. Millions of acres are burning in Oregon. You got acres burning in Arizona. And you got millions of acres that's burning and has burned in California. Meanwhile, as you move across, do you know that the Most High brought the most devastating storm on Montana and Iowa, where he broke down bridges, where he tore up railroad tracks? This just happened a few weeks ago, before this one we're talking about right here. And so the Creator, if we would just pay attention to what he's doing, devastation upon devastation upon devastation, and we don't see no hands. It's not a man hand with an AK-47 shooting them down. It's the wind blowing them down. It's not an atomic bomb that's aimed at them. No, it's the wind that the Most High aimed at them. So this is a stone cut out of the mountains without hands. It's true spirituality. Spirituality goes back to Bereshit, comes back to Mount Sinai when he give Moses the tables of stone, and he take his finger and etch in stone the instructions, and it comes up to where we are today, or what we see in the world today, the presence of the Creator. This is what we as a people to witness. So I love my people, and I want my people to make it to the other side. But just like it was a day when slavery began, there's a day when slavery ends. There's a birth and a life and a depth of everything. There was a birth of a slavery in 1619. There was a life of slavery up until 2019. Now we're looking at the depth of slavery, the depth of the bondage. And how is the Most High destroying it? He's doing it through natural disasters and warfare. It is no coincidence. It is no coincidence that the Russian-Ukraine NATO war broke out 3 years after 2019. That is no coincidence. This is going to the prophetic schedule that the Most High has going. We can look, unless the Most High change it, unless he change it, we can look at America and Russia actually looking at nuclear war by 26 and 27. The only thing that can stop it, that can't stop it, if the Creator decide to put Donald Trump in order, in power, and Donald Trump come to power, and he's already told Zelensky that he's going to stop sending the money over there, and that he's going to work a deal out with Russia. And so that's the only thing that will buy them some time. And all it's going to do is buy them some time. But it's not going to stop anything, because once that cool off, guess what's going to heat up? The Middle East, the so-called Middle East. This is the hot spot. This is a spot that the Most High has talked about. So all eyes is on Jerusalem. All eyes on Israel. And if you've been paying attention to news, what you've been seeing is that the United States of America is sending aircraft carriers, troops, all type of armaments, all type of bombs. They rush into the area. Russia, rush into the area. China, rush into the area. Iran got forces in the area. Yemen shooting arrows over in the land. Hezbollah fighting against the United States of America and the Jewish state. And Hamas still fighting. All of this, I document this in the book. If you go in the book, and I'm not going to read it, but for those who I have a section in the book, and this book is on page 498, and this is the final battle of Armageddon kicks off. And if you read that and you see what's happening on the news today and in the world today, you know that the Most High Yah is true to his word. He's true to his word. This is what he said is going to happen. I documented it, and this is what we see the Ruach, the spirit of Yah, bringing to pass right before our very eyes. So my message to my brothers and sisters is this. You're not African American. You're not colored. You're not black. You're not Negroes. You're not coons. You're not none of those things. You're not the G word. You're not the dog. You're not the B word. You're none of those things. You are a descendant of the ancient Afro-Asiatic Hebrew people. You are an Israelite. Your power is the creator. We as a people need to liberate ourselves and break away from them and turn back to the creator. And that's going to be the upliftment of them, the upliftment of them. When I say them, I'm talking about us as a people. It's going to be the downfall of others, because this whole system is built on the backs of our disobedience to the creator. This whole system, this whole global order is built on our disobedience to our divine purpose. And since the creator says, since you won't fulfill your divine purpose, I'll let you work for others. I'll let you be servants to a stranger in the land that's not yours. That's what I'll let you do, since you don't want to serve me and fulfill your destiny. So I'm saying to my brothers and sisters, why not fulfill our destiny? Why not be the head and not the tail? Why not be above instead of being beneath? Why not be in your own land instead of being a slave in another man's land? This is what we're saying to our people. And so this book actually represents liberation. I'm talking about liberation on a spiritual level, on a mental level, and eventually on a physical level. So Prince, you may want to ask me some things that I may have
Yeah.
missed.
We got Zakwe Adon Jehoshaphat ben Israel, founder and editor of the Jerusalem Chronicle Newspaper. He came out with a new book called The Revelations of Daniel, Yah's Prophetic Utterances to Black America, all mankind. So yes, I want to, yeah. So we're going to wrap it up now with questions and answers. And I know DJ Jennifer to get involved. So we're going to stay on the topic of where you at. Question. Puff Dad. Puff Dad. You see what's going on right now.
Right.
Where do you situation Puff Daddy? And from a physical level and spiritually, what this represent, and from your understanding as not only being a predator but a seer in the Israelite community. What do you say about what's going on right now with the P. Diddy situation?
I would say P. Diddy, he needed to read Proverbs chapter 23. That's what P. Diddy need to read. Had that young man read Proverbs chapter 23, he would have known better and he would have done better. And that's why we're talking about what we're talking about. We're talking about wisdom. We're talking about understanding. We're talking about knowledge. If you don't have it, you can't do better. You make bad mistakes. You dance with the devil. You think the devil your friend. You don't know who your enemy is. You don't know friend or foe. You don't know which way to go. You make contracts and covenants and agreements with people that don't have your best interests in heart. And you begin to think that they're actually your friends. And you begin to do things around them and, begin to socialize with them, begin to bring them into your world, and they come into your world and they make you think as if you one of them. Ask Bill, ask a lot of guys before him. And so you begin to think, ask Jack Johnson, we go way back. Every time our people come under the illusion that somehow this land is a land that's gonna give us pleasure. They're gonna let us do what they do, and we're not gonna find no opposition. Good example is this: Now, the reason I think they actually focusing on P. Diddy is actually to get everybody's attention off Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Jeffrey Epstein, now you want to talk about the hard hitters. Let's talk about a man that's got an island like like Tiberius, the emperor had, like he had Capri. So this man got an island. And on this island that he has, he got cages in the bottom of it where he can take children and he can take boys and girls and grown men who like all type of fetishes and stuff like this. And so you got a man like this that's actually really, you busted him first and everybody was looking at him. But in the process of time, somehow everything slid away from him and now everything slid over to P. Diddy, as if he the number one, as if the records and all the information that they have on Jeffrey Epstein, because bro, when they let that list go on Jeffrey Epstein, they had Bill Clinton name on it, they had Barack Obama name on it, they had had Bill Gates name on it, they had all the higher ups. They used to actually go down and visit the island where this man had all these fetishes going on. And so, you know, when they have fetishes, they gotta have entertainment. What is a royal bank without music? So you got to have music. So you're gonna bring Beyonce down. You need somebody like P. Diddy to come down. You need Jay-Z to come down. You need John Legend to come down. You need all these people to come down because they're gonna be the music. And you gotta have the music to go with the wine and go with the women and the boys and the girls. And so this is where he comes in. And so he becomes the one that supplies the entertainment for all the higher ups. And so in the meanwhile, as he supplied the entertainment for the higher ups, he gets money too. He makes money. And so he actually do his little liquor thing that he did, his little liquor thing, to the point that he was Ciroc or some name of his liquor that he had, and he went out and he made big money on that, but he ended up having a problem with the people that he was doing the alcohol with. And so he called them out, and I believe that the higher ups are the ones that really put the hit on him so that they can take the heat off of Jeffrey Epstein and all the other guys that really got a lot of stuff going on, man. And so I think that when it's all said and done, from a spiritual level, what the Creator's doing is that rap music that does not do like your music does, Hebrew, and other brothers like yourself who bring positive affirmation, who bring information, who bring history, along with entertainment, along with music, along with beats, along with cadence, and along with that, you know, along with the good sound, because you got all that. But at the same time, when your message come across, your message is upliftment, your message is enlightenment, your message is helping the people. It's not denigrating, you ain't denigrating your sisters or talking of denigrating your brothers. You actually uplifting your people with your talent. And so after 2019, the Creator's got to break this spell that's on our people, because these people are they dealing with these demonic spirits against us. And so the way that they deal with these demonic spirits with us is that they have these frequencies. And one of the main frequencies is the radio. Okay? Because it's something that you can listen to wherever you go. And you can hear it day, noon, night, anywhere, all the time. And when you listen to it, and you got certain music on there, and people hearing it around the clock every day of the week, and they begin to be able to repeat it and say it, and they get down in the inner sanctum of their soul, people start actually acting like what they hear. And so if you speaking in a negative way, saying, shoot this N word, dog this B out, do this, that, and you're internalizing this, and hearing this continuously, look at the state of the community with the voice. What did Proverbs say? Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And what is rap but the tongue? So life, whether we're going to live or whether we're going to die is going to be in the tongue based on what somebody's saying, whether they rapping it or whether they preaching it or whether they just having a conversation with it. Our life or our death is going to be in the power of that tongue. And in the case of rap, what they've done with our people for the last couple of decades, it's been death in that tongue. How many young men have died? How many young men have been slain? How many gangs have been started? How many shootouts? All in the name of the tongue. The tongue. You said somebody didn't like. Got a young brother in Memphis, young Dolph. This brother was from Memphis. I saw this brother come up through the ranks because, you know, we do street vending. And so when we do our street vending, he was just a come up. He was coming up, and he wasn't even known then. And so when my children used to be posted up, he used to come and he used to buy products from us. And so I saw this brother to come up from nothing, and I saw him elevate as he get higher and do everything that he did. But what happened? You had another brother in the city called Yo Gotti. He had been in the business before he had been in the business. He wanted to sign him, but he didn't want to sign to him. And animosity broke out between these two brothers. And they started making music. Actually, the power of the tongue. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. They started to make music to call each other out and to talk about each other real bad, to the point that it got so serious, Aki, that the brother was going up to the cookie shop where I go. Because that's where they shot him at, the cookie shop. And I go to the cookie shop every day. That's why, you know, I go to the cook. That's why I do some vending, my business through the cookie. I go to the cookie shop every day. To the point that he went up there at 11 o'clock. I had somewhere to go that morning. And so I had to go do something. And I couldn't have got to the cookie shop till 1 o'clock. My daughter called me and tell me, Abba, where you at? Because they thought I probably, I said, I'm somewhere else right now. She said, don't go to the cookie shop. I said, why don't go to, they done murdered dogs. His body laying out there, right? He done murdered. I said, what? I said, did they kill somebody inside? Because those are people that I work with. Did they kill anybody? I said, I don't know if nobody got killed inside, but he laying out. They didn't kill. All this, Aki, the power of the tongue. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Now to the point that you done had other deaths that come behind that. And you got more deaths that's coming behind that even right now. Now back to P. Diddy. The music, the tongue, all this being put out, all these negative messages, all these things that's not lifting people up. The creator at some point, that's going to have to stop. That's going to have to stop at some point. They're going to start doing music like you, Prince, and other brothers like yourself, like they used to have, you know, back in the day when they had the poor righteous poets. Back in the day, you had KIS-1. Back in the day, you had Gil Scott-Heron. Back in the day, you had Mombasa. Back in the day, you had Mandrill. Back in the day, that you had all these brothers that was actually doing what these brothers doing now, but they weren't telling people to actually go out and destroy each other. And so somehow, the pendulum has got to swing. It's got to swing away from that and swing back somehow to a consciousness. And if it take that, if that's what the Almighty got to do, then it's going to be a lot of dirty work done. That's what I'm talking about. It's a lot of dirty work, and our people should not go down with these people. That's what the Most High said. Don't get cut off or get caught up in their iniquity. We as a people shouldn't get caught up in their iniquity, because again, a lot of stuff that America is doing is anti-Yah. And America has our people vibrating on a negative vibration, a vibration that keeps them in the bottom and will never help them get to the top. We here as Israel, we here, I am at the author of this book to give our people the insight to what these nations think. So we got to have a kingly mind. You got to have a mind that's sharp enough to stand before Putin. You got to have a mind that's sharp enough to stand before any leader of the earth. And you can stand before him and he can't talk over your head and don't feel like you're inferior. You supposed to be able to talk eye to eye with anybody. and supposed to know just as much as they know, understand life the way they understand life, and not being second fiddle to nobody. That's the level that we trying to come to as a people. Nobody talk down to us. We talk everybody eye to eye. And when you're wrong, we're going to call you out. We're going to call you out. We ain't going to say, yes, our boss, you're right and you're wrong. We're going to tell you where you're wrong at and why you're wrong, because we had to call ourselves out and we had to get ourselves straight. And so therefore, we ain't going to take nothing from no wrong man who trying to lead us wrong, trying to make our babies. I mean, can you imagine, Prince, living in a land where your 7-year-old son could go to school and could talk to a teacher, and the teacher could tell your son, you really ain't no boy. You could be a girl. You really, you ain't, so, but, well, I tell you what I do then. Since your daddy is homophobic, your father's homophobic, what we're going to do is we're going to let you go and get your surgery and let you go do what you want to do. And then we're going to bring your father to classes, or you can sign this paper right here where your father cannot stop you from getting transformed from a boy to a girl. What type of land is that to live in, lost sheep of the house of Israel? What type of land is that to live in? You tell me what type of land is that to live in. Trying to turn all the boys. Look at Dwayne Wade. Good example there. He ought to be ashamed of himself. That man ought to be ashamed of himself. That's why I say America has destroyed us as a people. That's a Holocaust. This man had brought his son up, then dressed his son as a drag queen, and paraded his son before Black America to make Black America, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, make us think that somehow sodomy and transvestite and drag queen, they ain't gonna put RuPaul on television. They ain't gonna put Tyler Perry, Madea before us and make us laugh about it. And we're gonna laugh about it. That's a funny drag queen right there. Laugh you all the way to hell. Laugh you to hell. All the way to hell. So our people have been conditioned to not smell the fart in the room. See, the room could be stanky, but if you're in the room and in the room long enough, you can't smell the fart. Now, only somebody who come in with a breath of fresh air, they'll step in that room and say, oh man, who done lost their manners up in here? But as long as you in the room and you in the environment, you can't tell. And that's how Black America is. See, we can't smell the fire. But if you get out like Prince and go to Tanzania, or you get out and go to Ghana, or you get out and go and get a breath of fresh air, like my brothers over in the Sinai, and the brothers in Israel, and the brothers in you get out and go get a fresher air, and come back, I guarantee you that you'll be able to smell the stank in the room in the United States of America. And the only reason that our people are able to stay here like this and take it like this is because they've been conditioned. Because it always smell like this. It ain't nothing. It always smell like this. It smell like this all the time. They shoot people down all the time. Oh, it's lead in the paint all the time. Oh, my child is juvenile court all the time. Oh, running got 100 years all the time. Oh, they all the time. Keisha and Jerry broke up all the time. They get used to the fart or the stank in the room and don't realize the conditions and the odor that they have us as a people living under. So we here to liberate our people. We ain't here to fight with nobody. We here to give wisdom, understanding, and knowledge to those who got an ear to want to hear, those who have a mind to want to stand, and those who have a spirit that want to raise up higher than what you've been taught to be a Negro. And that's how you're going to go, to the knee. And you ain't going to grow no higher than that. If you want to be a whole man, not 3/5 of a man, you want to be a whole woman, not 3/5 of a woman, you're going to have to become a living soul. And your living soul, the only way a man can be a living soul or a woman can be a living soul is that man and that woman must know their ethnicity and their nationality where we started at. If you don't know your ethnicity, you dead. If you don't know your nationality, you're lost. You don't even know how to get home. Suppose you don't know your address. How you get home? I don't know what street I live on. How you get home? I don't know what my address is. Well, you lost. You ask Black America where your native land is before you came to the United States of America in 1619. And I didn't ask you what continent you come from. I asked you what country you come from, because Africa is a continent. It is not a country. So when you say Africa, you're really saying nothing, because you got 54 countries on that continent. And then you got so many different ethnicities within those countries on that continent. You got so many different tribes. You got so many different languages. And if you don't understand that, just saying Africa, I mean, you're not saying nothing. So that means you're lost. Ask the average Black person in America, trace your roots back. And the average Black person can't go no further than 1619. My grandmama was from Mississippi. We stayed in Georgia. We moved up north. But after that, he can't tell you nothing about what tribe he grew up, what river he lived, what people his people used to be a part of, what was their native spirituality that they once believed in. All that's been washed away. All that's been burnt down. That's why we say a Holocaust. When you got a people walking around, don't know what their address is, don't know where their homeland is, and don't know where they come from before they got where they are. You call it dementia. A person like that is dementia. They be walking around, well, what's your name? I don't know who I am. Where you from? I don't know where I come from. Well, who your folks? I'm lost. That's dementia. So we dealing with a spiritual dementia of people that don't know where they come from, of people that don't know where they are, of people don't even know what the future beholds. And that's why the Most High, Todayah, Todayah, all praise be to the great King. I thank him for wisdom. I thank him for understanding. I thank him for knowledge. Todayah, for letting us know. Letting us know. Because this book is for us. It's for us. And again, as I conclude, I'm not here to take the credit for this book. I'm here to say that this book is a testimony of Yah's divine presence and the fact that Yah Kai, Yah does live. That's the testimony of this book right here, my beloved brother and my beloved sister.
I have one question before you go. What do you got? What is your thoughts on the FBA movement and the I guess
You hear me? I'm still there, and Prince.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can.
You can't hear me?
Okay. Can you still? If I'm still here, I didn't know if
Yeah.
they wanted to say. But let me read it. Let me just read a couple of things from the book right here of Family Before. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
She's asking you a question. Did you hear her?
No, I didn't hear it. I'm listening now.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. I was asking about the FBA movement headed up by Tariq Nasheed. What do you think about that movement? What are your thoughts on that movement?
Say it one time, sister. I hit the mic again. I heard toward the end of it. I apologize. Say it one more time, please.
What do you think of the FBA movement that's headed up by Tariq Nasheed? What do you think about that movement? What's your thoughts on that movement?
What's the name of it again? The F.
The foundational Black American movement.
Tell me about it. I'm not here, but I don't want to say anything about anything I don't know about. And I excuse my ignorance, but I don't know about it. You can tell me about it.
So that movement is made up. It's a movement I think headed up by Tariq Nasheed, and it talks about you know what that we are foundational Black Americans, and you know what I'm going to let Prince, because I think you know a little bit more about it than I do, right?
Okay.
Yes. Basically, the FBA movement is what is known as the Foundation of Black American Movement, and they believe that they're a new ethnogenesis group because we've been over here for over 400 years. So you have, he said that we are indigenous to the land as well as we have ties to Africa. So his objective, which is Tariq Nasheed, he doesn't believe that we have to leave from America, but since we built America, this is our homeland, and we shouldn't run to no other country, and we should stay here and continue to fight in America, and this is where we're at basically forever. What do you
Okay.
think about that?
Okay. Well, that would be okay if we didn't have no external threats that we were dealing with. That's almost like, to me, it's almost like an ostrich putting his head in a hole. At this point, what good would America actually do us? At this point, America, at this point, with all due respect, America has been singled out for destruction. And so, I mean, if a land is going to be destroyed, what are we actually going to be able to do here? You got radio, you're going to have nuclear fallout, you're going to have radioactive fallout, you're going to have a devastation. The currency that they're using ain't going to be no good no more. It's not going to be no ability to grow food here no more. So when you have a land, that's why I say it's so important. This is where Yah's prophetic utterance. This is where the creative insights come in. I'm not giving everything that I said today. I'm not giving my theses, my opinion. I'm really actually going back and reading what thus says Yah, and then I'm bringing it back and saying it in a way that we can understand it in a contemporary setting. And the warning that I have to my brothers and sisters would be similar to the warning that our ancestors would have had if they say, well, let's stay in Egypt and let's not leave. We don't have to leave with Moses. We can stay here and we can make ourselves a part of Egypt and we don't have to go nowhere. And we can well, if that's the case, we never would have had a King David. We never would have had a King Solomon. We never would have had our own homeland. America itself, if we were indigenous, they took it from us. And once they took it from us, they defiled it. America is a land that's been so defiled. And when I mean that defiled, I mean a land that supports homosexuality day and night. A land where blood flows nonstop day and night. A land where all the instructions that the Most High said that man shouldn't do. You got over here, you got men laying with their daughters, you got men laying with their sisters, you got men laying with their mamas, you got sisters, you got women laying with each other. I mean, how is the creator of the heavens and the earth gonna bless such a situation like this, even if we did fight for it? Because all kingdoms gotta be based on righteousness. Every
That
kingdom
seems
got
to
to
be
be
going
based
on
on
all over the
righteousness.
world, though.
And so since America has been so wicked, it has been designated for destruction. And what the Creator would like us to do, if for that brother and the sisters who say what he wanted, we are indigenous, not first to America, but we are indigenous first to the continent of Africa and the land of Canaan first. So we're going to go back all the way back to our historic roots. It's going to predate even the indigenous people that were here before, even the Spanish and the Portuguese and the English people, because I do know that there were indigenous people that were here. I do know that there were people of color that was here. But me, myself, who I am a descendant of the people who came in the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Therefore, by me being a descendant of the Transatlantic Slave Trade, I am not indigenous to this land. I understand those who say they are, and I have no problem with that. That's cool. But I can only tell you who I am as a Hebrew man and what the Creator said concerning us as a Hebrew people. And so if the brother is a part or a descendant of the transatlantic slave trade, maybe he should consider getting out of the way, because America is designated for destruction. This is what I'm just trying to warn him. America is designated for destruction. There's no way around it. Do people hear me? America is designated for destruction. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm not crying wolf and say America going to be destroyed next week. I'm not saying that, because the Creator knows that it's going to take time for us as a people to get our spirits together, get our thoughts together, and get our minds together for us to make this exodus out of here. But the truth of the matter is that we must make an exodus out of the United States of America. We have to think about it. Before the Spaniards and the Portuguese, who knew about this land across the Atlantic over here? Who knew about this land? It used to be a time when America was a non-factor. And the days come, says Yah. And when people look across the Atlantic, it ain't gonna be no New York, it ain't gonna be no Washington, D.C., it ain't gonna be no L.A., it ain't gonna be no Denver, it ain't gonna be no Memphis, Tennessee, it ain't gonna be none of this. None of this. So we cannot defend this wicked land because the enemy of this enemy, he feels like the land don't belong to you, FBA. I'm fighting against Biden. I'm fighting against Trump. I'm fighting against the U.S. military. That's why I'm going to drop bombs on North America, because the so-called white man is giving me hell. So I could be in the background saying, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Still, I'm not going to have no effect on the decisions of the people that's determining whether it's going to be nuclear war or not. So who would want this country after nuclear fallout? Wouldn't it be better to go to Africa and set up your own civilizations, have your own land, your own colleges, your own institutions, your own farms, your own this, your own that, nobody ruling over you. You basically back like you were before 1619. You got your land, you got your language, you got your culture. You're not up under these people no more. What would be better? It would be better.
So we have a question from the
When
audience.
these people for 6 states are trying to say, America gonna be mine one day. When Africa is basically, now Prince, you do know that Africa has announced the year of return in 2019.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they did that. They did that in Ghana. But listen, there's a question for you. But DJ Genesis, I need you to continue. It's 4:21 a.m. and I'm running out of internet. It's gonna hang up on me. So I gotta get off, because that's why I keep going in and out. It was an honor and a privilege to have you, Zaquane. You can end it with the sister. And there's a question for you. It says, does he agree with Dr. Umar's teachings and or ideology of Africanism? You can answer that if you want, but so y'all will be clear, he's a Hebrew Israelite national. But I'll go ahead and let him answer the question. But I gotta go, DJ.
But
I'm
here's the thing: is
sorry.
if you think that
I gotta
Israel is in Africa,
go. I'm gonna let
okay,
you continue that, because my internet's gonna die out.
okay, for sure. I'm gonna
She
make sure.
got,
Can you hear me
All
though?
right,
Can
Prince.
you hear me in the middle?
yeah, can
Can
you
you
hear
hear
her?
me?
Can you hear her?
Yeah, I can hear her.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
We're probably going to only be on here for another like maybe 10, 15 more minutes, because we're past the 2 hour mark, and I really don't like to go, too far past 2 hours when I do interviews, just to be able to cut it up the correct way. But yeah, so that's the question. Do you agree with Dr. Umar's teachings or ideology of Pan-Africanism? And the FBA movement, by the way, feels that Pan-Africanism is dead.
Wow.
They feel like it's dead, and they don't feel a connection to Africa. They are actually at odds with Africans and Caribbeans and like the South America. I mean, anybody they call them tethers. They feel like that the African and all these other nations are tethering off of our accomplishments, and then they get over here once they utilize us to get over here and our accomplishments and the things that we did to make it possible. Then they disown us when the moment they get over here and look down on us. So that is kind of like the FBA's kind of stance on things. And then they, like I said, they believe that Pan-Africanism is dead. They said that nothing has been done through Pan-Africanism. So the question is do you agree in the ideologies of Pan-Africanism?
Yeah, Pan-Africanism is a step in the right direction. We can't stop there, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. We as people with common ethnicity, we as people with common nationality on the same continent, wherever we have been dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth, we need to see what we have in common. And so Pan-Africanism is a desire from people from a certain same background of Kemetic for them to come together and to try to find some type of common destiny and some type of common platform for us as a people to move forward. But I made the statement earlier that it's a step in the right direction because ultimately the ultimate step that we must make, even for the continent of Africa and the Pan-African movement is to come back to our true spirituality. And so if we as a people could come back to our true spirituality within the Pan-African movement, then it will give us a boost toward the ultimate goal that we're trying to accomplish. Because in Pan-African, what they would like is for instance, in Ghana, all right, we know that Nkrumah, that he was the first president of Ghana, and that he was a student in the United States of America in New York, and that he was a contemporary of Malcolm X. It was also a contemporary of several of the brothers who were in the struggle for freedom in the United States of America. Then he went back to Ghana. And when he went back to Ghana, he became the first president of Ghana after he had decolonized from the UK, from Britain. And so he created a movement of Pan-Africanism where he wanted to see Africans that had been under colonization, from the Berlin Conference and so forth, all the way up until he became the first president, all the way up until the Organization African Union and so forth. He wanted to see all the various African countries come together and unite and to have a common destiny that where they had freedom and control their own distribution, production, and they were no longer being marginalized by the European colonialists. That was the vision of Pan-Africanism. It worked for a large degree because from that point on, you had a lot of our people that actually left the United States of America to actually be a part of it. For example, Dr. Martin Luther King, he was there for the inauguration of Dr. Nkrumah when he became the first president of Ghana. Also, Malcolm X. Malcolm X also visited Ghana and also was a part of that movement. So I would say the Pan-African movement, it has a lot of positive good points. And as far as Dr. Umar Johnson, I agree with a lot of things that the brother said. And he's very intelligent in a lot of his assessments that he do make. So I'm not here to just speak against him in no shape, form, or fashion. But yes, the question that do I agree with many of the things that he say, I find myself in agreement with many of the things that the brother has said. But
Now, so the other thing is like with the FBA movement, they feel like the year of return is really a farce, that they were really trying to benefit off of the African Americans' spending power. That they thought it was disingenuous because they didn't actually give any land or anything that you could own for a period of time, like the land that they did get, they didn't really own. So it was like almost like it's almost like they were just pretty much trying to, again, what they call tether off of the American spending dollar, because if we spend billions of dollars and return to Ghana, then we build up their economy. But if they don't give us like the land and things like that, any ownership, then is it really a year of return or a year of a vacation?
Hey,
you know what I'm
saying? Hey, you know what? I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna keep it just like it is, for real.
Right.
The year return, they got a lot of positive points on what they said. About that sincerity. I've been there. I've been going to Ghana since 2017, and I continue to go there continuously even now. And so during this 7 years, I have to be just totally 100. I've met some disingenuous people. I've had some circumstances where things didn't work out as I thought they should have worked out. I've had problems with land and purchases and things like that as well. I know other people that have had problems and so forth as well. But eventually, some of those problems, they were able to work them out and to keep moving forward. So to the statement that the brother made about being disingenuous, I would agree. Some of them are very disingenuous. Some of them may say a quaba, which is welcome, and then may take a dagger and stab you in your back. And that's just like and that's just like, anywhere else, in America, is very similar as well. So I'm not going to defend wrongness on no shape, form, or fashion. Whoever doing it wrong, I ain't going to defend you and you wrong. But this is what I'm going to say about that from a spiritual point of view, because everything. As a spiritual person, I look at everything from a spiritual perspective. Now, let me give you the take on that from a spiritual perspective. As I've been indicating, we started here in 1619. The 400 years was up in 2019. The Creator had to use somebody to make an announcement on a global level, that it could be somebody that's on a higher level than myself. Like I said earlier about the dream, Yah could have gave Daniel the dream and the answer, but what good would that be? Because Daniel was of a low stature. So you needed to give somebody of a high stature in order to make a statement. Now, are they straight? No. Like Cyrus, for example, you read in the book that after the Babylonian captivity, the Israelites were allowed to go back to Israel after 70 years later. King Cyrus made a proclamation that the people would be able to return. Was he a practicing Israelite? No. Was he a righteous man? No. Were the Persian people a good people? No. But the Creator just used them. So this is what I'm saying about the year return. The Creator just used them to make that announcement so that you and I would know that the 400 years that we read about, that is verifiable. So somebody had to make a statement besides somebody like me. And so the Creator used Ghana, since that's the place that participated in the slave trade where the dungeons are. Those are people that collaborated with the Europeans and sold us over. It would be only right if Yah used one of them to come back and make a statement saying that what we did was wrong and that the 400 years has been completed. So from that perspective, from a spiritual perspective, I see the significance of what they did. Now, from a material perspective, like the brother pointed out, they made billions of dollars. They made billions of dollars. They did. And they continue. We're bringing billions of dollars into the Canadian economy as we continue to repatriate as we speak right now. And so Ghana is moving, and you see a lot of improvement. And this is because of what you see a lot of us from the diaspora are actually doing.
Exactly.
So
here's another thing too, is that so now that you see that there's like this whole economic thing with Kamala, they're trying to get her into office. You have the FBA movement that is going against the Kamala thing. They're going more for Trump. You see the thing that's saying that the Pan-African movement is dead. There's like a whole movement toward this whole FBA thing. Now, when we talk about the spiritual aspect of like moving to another country, it's like, well, we go to Africa and we get treated kind of jacked up. We have to be realistic. We don't want to have a pie in the sky view of Africa either. We don't want to just think that we're going to go over to Africa and everything's going to be hunky dory.
That's correct.
We have to have a plan. We have to have some kind of a plan. And I think that we have to also have some kind of a reassurance, right? For those people that went over to Ghana and spent billions of dollars and infused that whole economy, and then we still got kind of turned away at a certain extent.
Right. I totally agree. And I totally agree. It's always what they say is strength in numbers. And so it's strength in numbers. So if when we come to that consciousness that you just spoke of, and we were to make a move, like it would always be best to move in numbers and in strength, because numbers and strength give you power. Mm-hmm. Whereas one or two people can be picked off. If you're moving in battalions and you're moving as a community, then it's more difficult. And then we have to look at this thing also as a strategic move. This is not some Boy Scout, and it's not, like you say, this is not no pie in the sky. This is not no Boy Scout. This is not something that's going to be all merry and all happy. It's not going to be that. Africa has its problems too, just like America has its problems too. But what is the benefit for me as a Hebrew man? The benefit for me as a Hebrew man is, number one, I'm able to train my people according to my own education. I can actually set up my own independent education system. I do have the liberty to do that in the country. I don't have to have no state. I don't got to go get no permission from a state or this and that and that. if I got the money to open up a school, I can go open up a school and teach my people the way that I want to teach them. No questions asked. If I, economically speaking, believe it or not, if you had $10,000, you can actually open up a bank. You may need somebody before, you may need a Canadian representative or somebody that you may be close with, but it's possibility for you to actually open up your bank as well. Or as far as health is concerned, you find out in Africa that they're deep into holistic health and naturopathic health. So if you're the type of person that's deep into holistic or naturopathic health, it would be ideal for you if you didn't want to get caught up in the pharmaceutical, medical things like that, and you want to go back to a naturopathic lifestyle. You got plenty of sun, you got plenty of heat, you got plenty of raw vegetables, you got plenty of raw fruit, you got a lot of clean water. That when you make your own borehole and bring your water up from the ground, your own water, not their water, but your water. And so you got a lot of benefits. Yes, are there some liabilities? Are there some problems? Do we have some things that we got to face if we make a move like that? The answer is you're totally correct. But you ask yourself, when they came to America, and they went through all the struggles that they did to build this country up. Did they not go through a lot of wars and this and that in order to make, and you think about whenever people move to break away to set up something like that, it's going to be challenges, it's going to be pioneers, it's going to be situations where you think that you turn back. For example, when they came to America in 1607, they broke out with a disease in Jamestown settlement, and they shut the settlement down for 2 years and didn't come back to 1609. But they kept on.
Man, I've heard that there's people that are going over there thinking that they're building a house and come back and there's nothing there, and they've just sent money over. You know, it's a lot of like really like sneaky stuff going on, and like a lot of scheming. And
You're
I think
right.
it's certain the certain like types of people. Like it's a way. I don't understand that mindset.
Well,
You know,
what it is that people will try to use you wherever you are, and they will try to use you. Number one, you got to understand the system that you're going into. Don't never, I say this to any brother and sister listening to me, don't never send no money to nobody in Africa talking about you buying some land. Do you hear me? Do not listen to that lie. Do not send a nickel to Africa. Somebody telling you because there's certain procedures that you got to go through. You got to go before the land commission. Then after you go by the then you got to go have a work site. Then you got to have it's so many levels that you have to go through in order for the property to actually be yours. If somebody tell you that you can send some money over there and that the property is yours, they playing you. They playing you. And so many of our people, they have been played like that. They have been played
and I
like
wanted
that.
to touch on. I wanted to touch on like the aspect of like, even like in American culture, like how like homosexuality and a lot of different things are prevalent. That seems to be going across the country. We seem to be influenced in the world. I'm not sure, how much of an influence we have, but I know in certain major places there is that influence. I mean, based on media, unless you're in the China or Russia or North Korea where your stuff is like blocked off according to like the government, you can't see it and can't see that. The America's whole thing was to spread democracy across the world. So
Right.
it's just interesting that these people are pushing democracy and pushing that democratic thing, pushing African nations, even the ones that are saying that they don't want to certain sexual practices and stuff like that. They're cutting off their trading and things like that. I think that was Uganda that said
Yeah,
they were not going to
Uganda.
make it legal.
Yeah, Uganda.
And so then they
Kenya.
cut them off from the trading, but then they found the diamond over there. And now, also you have China kind of coming in to Africa. So I don't know, in China being a communist country, so we move over to Africa, and then China starts taking over. Now they start to implement their communism in Africa. Then what do we have? We move over there, and now we're in communism.
Well, no, I'm gonna tell you something. Africa is large enough to set the United States inside of it. It's large enough to set Western Europe inside of it. and it's large enough to take the landmass of China and sit inside of it. It's the second largest continent on the face of the earth. And I'm here to tell you that the Chinese, they got a long way to go. They're a long way from having, they got influence in certain countries and certain places, but Africa is so vast and so wide and so big that they do not, but they're in the process. They're in the process of trying to make it a move. Now, now this is what the benefit is. Let's look at it like this.
Well,
All
hold
right.
on. The places that China is actually starting to hit are the places that are the most developed, not the
Right.
underdeveloped places. So, if unless you're gonna go into like a barren land that doesn't have any development, if you're gonna be anywhere close to development, which means electricity, water, and things like that, then to move over there, there might be that thing where China does begin to take over, and I'm hearing a lot of like discord between the Chinese and the Africans, where the Chinese are racist toward the Africans that are living in that land, and being that now there's like this conflict going on. So it's just interesting, but we're gonna have to do a part two. But I did want to get your answer for that.
Yeah, now I would like to say that what you're hearing is true, and you do see Chinese over there, and the Chinese are very disrespectful, and the Chinese they are supremacists, just like the European man is supremacist. The Chinese are supremacists as well. Now, this is the game that the African is playing. We got to understand the game that they're playing. For so long, the African man, when he sat at the table with the European man, when they sit at the table, the African man only got crumbs. He only got crumbs. All right. When the Chinese man and the Russian man came to the table, they gave him a half a loaf of bread. And so since China and Russia is giving a half a loaf of bread, and America and Western Europe ain't giving nothing but crumbs, Africa is tilting toward the Chinese and toward the Russians. Now, what is the benefit? I know we hear about, but this is the benefit. The Chinese are they're building a train, a bullet train that's going to reach from South Africa all the way up to Egypt. They're building other type of infrastructure, bridges and other things that the African countries can't do. They're coming in. And according to the scriptures, the Creator said that we were going to have strangers that was going to build our houses, and strangers that was going to plant our gardens, and strangers are going to do all the work for us. So what's going on the divine level is that the Creator is using the Chinese and using the Russians to develop Africa. And once it get developed, they're going to get kicked out. They're going to get kicked out, and then Africa is going to take control of those things themselves. But since Africa cannot do it, it's best to let them come in and let them do it. And once you get the job completed, you kick them out. And
So
so,
the only thing about the Chinese is that the Chinese don't only just come in and do work. They also come in, they procreate, they start to add mix within the community and merge the community. And then they begin to have a lot of children. The Chinese are known for overly populating an area and overly procreating. So what's going to happen is, and then the resources, they begin to hog the resources, and then next thing you know, they there is no limit to how much resources they don't have any kind of a religion, except for because of the fact that they're atheists. There is no, or not even atheists, but like their mindset is not about like, let's do what's right for nature and not put this here. Same thing how it is over here. Like they just will take over an area and just dump crap into the water and destroy and this, that, the other, and then run out of resources, natural resources, and have to take over some other land to get some resources because they done destroyed the resources where they're at. That's why they're all living on top of each other as it is, with billions of people in that place. You know what I'm saying? So now they're going to do the same thing in Africa. Go over there, procreate a bunch, have a bunch of children, mix with the Africans, and then because of the mindset, you're going to probably have some of the similar things. The reason why they're trying to expand out of China because they're overpopulated.
right, that's true. And also, Africa is the land of gold, where all the resources are. And so you have all the resources needed in order to operate the global order. You find all those resources, from the cell phone toward running the airplane to making engines for cars, all the way down to the basic gas, oil, so forth and so on. All these things that they need in order to operate the global system. Western world, all the other worlds, global South, so forth. All of these resources come from the continent of Africa, the land of gold. So Africa is the world's richest continent as far as natural resources is concerned. And that's why it has always been at the center of a global conflict, whether who's going to control it, whether it was the Berlin Conference when the Germans were fighting against the French and the French were fighting against the English and all of them was trying to take their part of Africa, or even to the point now where you have the Russians and the Chinese coming in. He who controls the land of gold, he is the head of gold. So everybody knows that in order for them to dominate the world, you have to have the continent of Africa because they got the gold.
So
And
now you
all
have BRICS. You have this thing called Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
South
So
Africa,
now
correct.
they're moving towards getting an African currency that is backed in gold. And I think that they are moving forward with that. I'm not sure that
They
they
are.
do have that
They are.
currency. And so one final thing, I really want you to talk about this BRICS thing. There's a method to my questioning,
Okay.
right? So
Right.
so basically you're gonna have China with the resources. You're gonna have, because if they are able to take over parts of Africa that have the most resources, or most resource wealthy and most and whatever, then you have these places backed by gold. They become the superpower. So when you say America is on its way out, it's not just nuclear. It's also financially, because of the fact that if this happens with this gold backed system, and we've got rid of all of our gold, you know what I'm saying? Unless they got some reserves somewhere we don't know, right? You have
Right.
this whole gold based system that they're going to do based out of Africa, and now we're in trouble. So not
Okay.
just yeah.
So you're right. You're right, sister. And it actually goes back. That actually goes back to what I was discussing earlier today. That the bricks are part of the prophetic word. The
Mhm.
prophetic word. The bricks represent the partly clay toes in the image of the book of Daniel that we were discussing earlier. And the bricks are the breakaway nations. These are the nations that are breaking away from the Western world, which is the people that were responsible for the Berlin Conference and for imperialism and colonialism. And so Africa, which has been the victim of imperialism and colonialism and the transatlantic slave trade, what they were looking for is some help from somebody to reach out from. And so this is where the partly clay toes, this is where bricks come in. And bricks was actually formed. It was formed to actually break away from the Western world and to set up their own currency, to set up a common defense and a common security, and to actually set up a BRICS world order that will be separate away from the Western order that we're so used to. And you're absolutely correct. Once this happens, the dollar is going to die like diving off a diving board. It's going to be like you're on a high diving board. The dollar is going to sink as the other developing nations, as they turn toward the BRICS currency, which is going to be backed by gold. That's going to cause internal strife within America. Before the nuclear, let me say this, and I didn't say it earlier. Before that happened, America is going to implode internally. There's going to be an internal implosion inside of America before there be an external threat. And so we can see now, as we see the different people moving in places with the election, the hatred toward Trump and the assassination attempts, and the Kamala Harris piece, which is a continuation of the Biden Trump 2020 fiasco. So we see this thing continuing up, and it's going to get to the point that it's actually going to break and open dispute, similar to the Civil War that was in 1861 and to 1865. So this is what America is headed toward. The second civil war inside, that would take place before the external threat that I was speaking of earlier about the outside attacks. So you're correctly, and you're so right. What you're saying about BRICS, that's true. And that is going to lead toward that. And your assessment about what's happening in Africa, I have to agree with you as well. That is true. You do have those instances of those situations like that. But I would say to my people, this is a struggle. Let's keep moving forward. let's keep the faith, and let's leave the land of captivity and move back to the land ultimately of Israel, because we don't want to stay as an Hebrew. I'm passing through Africa, but ultimately my goal is to return to the land of Israel and to establish the kingdom of Yah in the land of Israel. That's my ultimate goal. But I will pass through Africa.
Where can I find your book at?
You can get the book directly from me. Thank you so much for asking. Let me give everybody my phone number, and you can order directly from me. I would appreciate it if you get it directly from me. I don't want to do business with Amazon. I don't want to make them rich. I want us to do just like we've been talking about this evening, brother to brother, brother to sister, us as a people coming together. Let me give you my phone number if you would like to get a copy of the book. My phone number is area code 901-901. The number is 480-3475. I say it one more time. Area code 901-480-3475. That's my number. You can get in contact with me, and I'll be glad to. And I also have the newspaper. And so you can call for the newspaper or the book at that same number. Toda, I truly appreciate that.
I'm sorry. Would it be Dr. Jehoshaphat Israel, or I wasn't sure.
Brother Jehoshaphat Israel.
Okay.
And I want to thank you, sister. Thank you for so much for having me on, giving me the opportunity to express myself and to talk about the book, and for you and I to delve into, things about what's happening on the continent, and you asking questions. I appreciate that. And I definitely look forward to a part 2 whenever your schedule will permit.
Yeah, thank you. And what I'll probably do is I would like to put the book on my page and on my website, and then if someone wants to order it, then I could basically order it for them, like a drop shipping thing. That way,
Okay.
To help you to get online. A lot of people now are so lazy.
Right.
They're lazy.
Right.
So,
right.
To make it a little bit easier, at no cost, just because I want to help what you're trying to do. So, yeah. So, thank you guys for tuning in so far. Are there any last words that you would like to say before you leave our channel? I appreciate your time here.
Yeah. My last word is to my brothers and sisters that we are somebody. We're more than a man. We're more than a woman. We're the Hebrew people. We're the people that's chosen by the eternal. We have a destiny. The days come that thus says Yah, we will be the light to the nations. And we will be the ones that straighten up all these things, that the injustices and the unrighteousnesses that we see happening upon the face of the earth. We'll be the ones that bring true justice to the earth. And so that's what we want to see. We want to see true justice, not oppression, not torment, not terrorism, none of that, but true righteousness and justice among all nations and among all men. But first, we got to think about ourselves first. And so that's where Yah's prophetic utterance to Black America comes in. We got to wake up and find out who we are and what our destiny is. That's my word to my people. Come out of the door of Babylon. Come out of the valley of the dry bones. Return to your greatness as a people.
Well, one thing that we always say, when the show is over, they always say, DJ, take us out of here. So please do us the honors.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, I guess I'll do a Don Canese. You get into this while I get into that. Peace, love, and soul. Yeah.
DJ, take us out of here.
DJ, take us out of here.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. Alchemize your energy. My friend, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.